He supports you, for he loves you. Understand?
You know what's crazy?
He's one of you.
Is that I'm not kidding. I think this is the exact same bit that you did the last time we recorded. I'm having extreme deja vu right now.
The whole episode is going to be like that. RJ, would you like to explain why we're going to talk about the last time we recorded a lot of this episode?
And Molly, I have an update.
Molly, I think there is an Evita curse. Let's say that, and we'll explain.
RJ, do you want to tell the listeners about Evita?
Yes. So Evita is the second of the lost tapes. You know, when they raided the DNC office, they took
at Watergate. Yeah, when they raided Watergate, Nixon took the tapes.
They took 2 of the tapes, and one was Evita. So we are re-recording. We've given ourselves, I want to say, like 8 months, 9 months.
This is,
I want to say it was
longer.
I think it's longer.
I think I was in Madison when we recorded this last time.
Yeah, definitely.
So we are now rehashing Evita.
This is the reprise.
The reprise. But right before this, Molly, I'd like to come out.
You'd like to come out? Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Oh my God.
Before this, we were like, okay, we have an hour. Great. Let's record a quick little video for our Boys Love channel.
Our Patreon.
We did a little reaction video and it was done. And we were like, oh, that was amazing. Let me stop the It wasn't recording.
RJ was not recording.
It didn't record any of it.
He didn't record any of it. I didn't click it forward. So,
girl, what are you, a boomer?
Truly.
Well, I thought the Facebook. So.
Or even a Gen Z. Have we talked about this? Gen Z is also bad with technology because they want it to be too easy. That's right. I'm coming for everyone. I'm coming for our whole audience.
They want it tactical now. You know, everything's got to click, you know.
Tactical?
Yes, they... Tactile. Tactical. Yes, they also want to strategize.
Tactical and practical.
Tactical Magic, my favorite Sandra Bullock movie. So I think it's an Evita curse. So
Evita curse. That's the only explanation.
We're putting an end to the Evita curse today.
Look, everyone go support the Boys Love Patreon because RJ needs some love right now. He's having a tough time, and you know we got to show him that we care.
It's hard to be a.
He literally, when he realized, he like laughed for 1 second and then turned around and started crying and walked into the bedroom. And I was like.
Ooh. It's never good when there's that quick of an emotional turn.
Yeah.
We watched Mama's Mama's turn. Rose's turn. We watched Rose's turn. We know you got to be worried about it when it's that big of a high and low. Yeah.
Mama's gotta let go.
Mama's gotta let go. You're absolutely
you know what? Yeah. Mama's gotta let go.
Well, Molly gave us her life update before the pod. We won't rehash it here, but you know, things are brewing. Things are brewing.
Which is brew.
Which is brew. Right in time for Halloween.
It's that time. I'm trying
Tactical
to bring
magic.
I'm wearing a nice orange shirt today because I'm trying to bring the fall colors in because they are absent here, of course.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
It was like it rained today, so I think
we're about to get a cold front.
Yeah.
It rained here too.
It's about to get chilly.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. We're basically in the same place.
Have we recorded since we came back from KCON and we saw you?
South Pacific.
South Pacific, we recorded after KCON? I truly don't remember anything anymore.
No, that may have been before.
I don't know.
We all had a corporate retreat together. We all went to lunch. We went to a great brunch.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a Japanese fusion restaurant. It was so nice.
Yeah, Cafe Gist in LA. We recommend.
Yeah.
It was great to see you, and I had a good time with the rest of the convention.
Yes,
sure,
I wanted to chop my feet off, but you know what?
Oh, because it was like a lot of walking.
A lot of walking, a lot of standing. Yeah. But it was worth it. It was fun.
I did not attend this convention, and my favorite part was when we met someone you knew who was TikTok famous for K-pop coverage, and I had to say, "Hi, I'm Molly. I just don't know anything about Korean media. I just live here.
I'm just here.
I'm just a local, just a local girl,
the local SoCal girl."
Okay. Hello, listener named, I believe, Nick. I'm just curious, what is going on? Because, and this is not a call out.
It's not, I'm just curious.
We're calling in.
We're calling in. We're calling in formation. Okay. What I'd like to know is why I believe you've listened to the Annie 1999 episode 3 different times, I believe. And each time you have left timestamps on each comment. And then like one word that I think is just like the word we say right at the timestamp. And at first I was like, oh, maybe we were getting stuff wrong, but I don't think that's it. And also it's not like the timestamps are in order. So he's just like coming back to finish the episode. Like they're out of order. So Nick, if you even listen to this, because I do think at this point you've listened to all 3 Annie episodes multiple times now at this point. So that might be you're interested in.
I will say, I'm glad that Nick listened to all of them because it'd be wild to just do the 1999. That would really be wild. But we have the information that Nick is probably an Annie superfan, right? Like that makes a little more sense. Okay.
3 weeks ago, Nick left a comment and it says 1 hour, 6 minutes, 34 seconds. And the comment is Garber bald. So listen,
that's what I'm seeing. I'm like, is it?
I want to know.
Are we making footnotes? Because that's what it feels like. It's like
is
I'm
Garber
making
bald a name of somebody that's
Victor Garber is bald, but Garber bald.
Nick is compiling a really in-depth case study.
That's what I'm thinking.
This is a dissertation.
This is a dissertation, baby.
There's going to be an Annie, like deep dive Annie, like investigative journalism of just the impact of Annie in like the culture.
There's going to be a commentary YouTube video that comes out.
It's going to be the Mueller report, but for Annie. And we're the dossier, honey.
Nick, we love it. We love the enthusiasm.
I'm obsessed with it.
Being yourself, I love it.
It's incredible. There's just go off, King.
Adam had the 1-minute summary from last time when we attempted to when we recorded this, and now he will do it again. He will read the same summary again, cold.
I haven't looked at this document since we wrote in it last year.
Yep.
Will I know anything that I'm talking about? Probably not.
We did watch it. It was playing.
I rewatched it as well. Yep.
It was playing while dinner was being made.
Because I did not remember most of this movie.
Okay, Adam, here's your 1-minute summary of Evita. Your time starts now.
Our narrator, Che, not that one in this version, takes us through contrasting funerals, national devastation with Eva Perón's funeral, and a flashback of her kept out of her own father's funeral for being illegitimate. As a young... I think you wrote this. I would not have written. This is not how I write.
Well, go ahead. Read my writing.
As a young woman, Eva convinces her lounge singer boyfriend to take her to Buenos Aires, where he discards her and she makes her way through show business via a series of lovers. She meets General Perón at a party where they are immediately, I think he's Colonel, by the way, are immediately drawn together in a mutually beneficial partnership. I did not write this at all. When Perón is arrested, Eva rallies the people to protest until he is released from prison. They get married and he wins the presidency. End of Act 1 and the number you all know. Eva continues to impress, for the most part, in Europe on her rainbow tour, but her health begins to decline. After some internal struggles about the legitimacy of her connection to the working class, she does the number again, but in a frail state, then dies of cancer at a young age, becoming a saint to the cause.
Wow.
I mean, it seems like pretty good.
Don't Cry for Me, Argentina is the number.
Yes, absolutely. That's the only song that most of you probably know from this, and for good reason, I would say. I'm really glad that whoever wrote it down for this one, because it would have been tough if we didn't have something to go off of.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, let's do the relationship because I'm curious.
Yeah.
RJ, what is your relationship to Evita?
I remember my mom loving this growing up. She had the soundtrack of the movie. In high school, like sophomore year high school, we all got to do like a historical project where we would research someone, and I chose Eva Perón because I was like just like curious, but then also like, well, there was a movie about her and it was Madonna, so she must be like an icon, legend. And I wanted to like do like a famous like female historical icon. I wrote on the notes to show my F tree, how much of an F I was before I,
Okay,
this is he's great. He's saying he's not saying a slur. It's a slur. Adam.
Oh my god.
What? But I do remember like when I was watching the movie back today, I did remember feeling like my memories of the movie were like she really like saved Buenos Aires. Like she saved Argentina from like plight or something like that. Because like in the Philippines, we talked about during, like we've had a dictator, and then we had like, you know, a former first lady of a senator become like the president after the dictator was ousted. So I was like, oh, so then this must be like a similar story that happened somewhere else. And like watching it back today, I was like, oh, like I could see why I thought that when I was little, when I would watch this movie, like, you know, while my mom was watching it, because it is a lot of very emotional scenes of like people cheering for her. And I think I just like assumed like that's what it was. It's just interesting. It kind of helped me think about like the overall like conflict that I have with the movie of like, it's trying to portray Eva in this light, but like if you're actually listening to like what they're saying about her, it's like it's not actually reflecting what you're watching. So I just thought it was interesting.
I mean, it sort of reflects how at least they portray her, and I would argue pretty reflective of real life, of like the difference between someone that makes you feel like they're saving you versus someone who's actually doing something to save you, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what it's about.
Yeah. So that's me.
Molly.
Oh, Molly.
Well, this is the second time I've watched this movie. Before our first recording, I had not seen it before. I obviously knew Don't Cry For Me, Argentina, but I don't think I knew any of the other songs from it. And then I knew it also from, there's a YouTuber called Todd in the Shadows who does like pop music commentary, basically. And he did a series where he covered every single movie Madonna has ever acted in. And so he has a video on this one. And so I knew some more specifics of like this actual movie adaptation from watching that. And I would recommend it. It's a good time.
What was his general take?
I mean, his general take for the whole series is that like Madonna's not very good, but also that there are some roles that she's more suited for than others. And that in a way it makes sense for this role to be her because it's so much about being a star and being an icon in sort of a non-specific way. And that's like kind of Madonna's whole thing is like, she's never been the greatest singer, the greatest dancer, whatever. It's like, she just has this thing about her that makes people want to watch her basically. Yeah. But also that some of the singing is, you know, it lets her down in places. And then also I now, it's been a long time since I watched this, so I'm now not sure how much of this is my opinion versus his opinion that I'm remembering. But I think also maybe that it's like the movie's a little too self-serious too. It's, you know, like we've got these like 80s synth, sometimes like big feelings. And then the aesthetics are very like realistic. And I kind of wish it like let itself have a little bit more fun.
Yeah. Adam made a comment while we were watching it again today that like, it's not even like fun camp. Yeah. And I was like, it feels like the Evan Hansen where, it treats itself so seriously.
I mean, look, this is far from an Evan Hansen experience. Let's be clear. But that same problem just taken to a much more significant extreme in a Dear Hansen.
Yeah. But I also feel like, how do you, in a medium like film where it does feel more realistic because you're not seeing, like you're just seeing what's in the box, you're not seeing everything around you as well. Yeah. So how do you make it? I mean, there's ways to do it, obviously. I just feel like they were like, oh, I mean, people died in Argentina. Like, it's not like this, there were no repercussions of what happened during this time. Anyway, my relationship. So I saw this in high school when a non-ec touring production came to South Bend, and my boyfriend John took me at the time it was a Valentine's Day gift, was the tickets. And I remember watching it and being like, wow, I like this. But I think I just was like, oh, the theater. I don't think I understood what it was saying at all. Yeah. Anyway. And then we saw Drury Lane here in the suburbs did a production of it last February. And RJ and I saw that, and that was great. And I applauded. There was a point at which she comes out obviously for Cry For Me Argentina. She stands on the balcony, and during it, the balcony comes forward toward the like it rolled forward, and I was like, I just like started applauding. It was a good production. And then that was last year was my first time watching the movie. This was my second time today. I will say I was doing a little bit more of a second screen situation today. I was not like fully focused on the movie, but
yeah, that's how I did it too.
I got it. It's fine.
We're just reviewing. It's fine.
Yeah. Just a refresh.
Let's talk about Eva Duarte Peron. I'm going to talk about some truths and falses, facts and figures. She was born on May 7th, 1919. I almost said 2019. And she died on July 26th, 1952. Okay. So father's death, that whole situation with like she was the illegitimate child, blah, blah, blah. True. All of that is true. Romance with the singer at the beginning of the movie, the crooner from like the bar, probably false or at least over exaggerated of what was actually going on for the purposes of the musical. Meeting Juan Perón because of the gala after the earthquake, that is a true event that actually happened. That's how she linked up with him, which is a plot point.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I feel like you're going to say you don't know because you told me that you didn't look at this doc between the last time we recorded and now.
Zero.
But with the lounge singer, and then so after she gets together with the lounge singer in the movie, there's a whole thing about her having a series of lovers and kind of like working her way up the social ladder through basically. So it's all of that fairly speculative. I would think. I mean, I would think like what evidence do we have specifically of like who all she took as a lover in her life, right? So
yeah. I mean, she was like a famous she was like an actress and like a radio. Like,
she was like a radio actress and and then became a film actress.
Yeah, but then obviously there's also the element of for a long time actresses were considered to be like. There was like an assumption that they were like also maybe engaging in sex work or loose women or whatever. And it's like hard to pull apart how much of that is based on reality because people were engaging with that versus an association people had with it. Yeah. And so it's probably impossible to say like what her actual romances were in her life.
Yeah. Well, we could get out. I mean, if you want to do a quick Ouija right now, we could just call her up and ask.
The only reliable source. I mean,
somebody would need to speak Spanish.
You have to get a Ouija board out because you got to consult the sources correctly. Yeah.
Primary source document.
Primary sources, baby.
Footnoting.
Ouija board.
Ouija, comma, board.
No, it's personal interview, comma, Ouija is what it says.
Okay, so Juan's arrest is true. The president of Argentina had resigned and his friend was now the president and he was like the labor minister and the opposition had him arrested as they were like fearful of their growing influence over the country. So that's all true. Eva led the march to have Juan freed. This is false. So she was still only an actress and had no political laborial. I can't believe I wrote laborial.
Wow.
I definitely copied and pasted
a year ago.
Had no political laborial or any clout to help get him out. So that is a fictitious situation.
Like the arrest was really before
they were involved. They were
involved.
Known in
she
this
was a
capacity.
Public figure. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
She was like an actress, but it wasn't like to that extent, I think.
Yeah.
They did marry the day after he got out of prison. The Rainbow Tour was true. The Spanish dictator, Portuguese dictator, other countries were added, so it didn't seem like she. Wait, sorry. I don't know what I'm reading. Spanish dictator, Portuguese dictator, other countries were added, so it didn't seem like she enjoyed authoritarian. I remember this now.
Yes.
So she was originally only supposed to visit Spain and Portugal, but then they got nervous that because of already there was an authoritarian, like, well, aren't the Perons like authoritarian? So they expanded what the tour would be to include other countries that did not have dictators as their leadership and power, to make it seem like a little bit more broad. Okay. And that I think comes back to bite her in the ass because when she goes to Italy, they're like, we just did this. We just did this. We got Mussolini the fuck out of this.
Actually, yeah.
I think I just had a stroke. The trains. She just is worried. Mussolini was only worried about the trains running on time. That was his whole thing.
Yeah, famously, that's the only thing he ever did.
Sick on the Rainbow Tour, coming ill. Both true and false. George VI didn't want to accept her. She considered in England is what I mean. She considered it a snub and canceled, cited exhaustion. And then she went to Switzerland, which was actually the worst leg of the trip. Shattered car windows, tomato splattered her dress, blah, 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 blah. But also she could have also been ill because she does end up dying of illness later. So,
well,
both.
Yeah. What do we know how long it is between those two things? But
there you go.
1947 is when she went on tour. So only 5 years.
I mean, I guess she could have
because I think she died of cancer.
Oh my God. Look at that Dior dress that she's wearing though. My God.
she had cervical cancer, and apparently, though, her husband never told her what it was that she had.
Well, like, you would expect a man to know what a cervix is to explain that.
It was because it was like this time of medicine of being like, well, it'll just like stress her out if she knows about it. So just like, she knew she was sick and she had to like do surgeries and stuff, but nobody ever was like, here's the thing that's happening in your body, which, oh my gosh, that's so terrifying to me. The concept of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's not great.
Not great. Eva Peron Foundation. The government leaned on private businesses and citizens to donate to the charity. And it was potentially a money laundering scheme to get the money to Swiss bank accounts. Not great. And then she became obsessed with helping the poor, healing the sick, and her image became transcendental. Again, like I was on something last year. Like I was giving author. Okay?
Yeah. Striving. I love it.
1951, she was candidate for vice president. And that's true. And then I wrote the renunciation machismo versus Marianismo. So I remember machismo versus Marianismo. I remember that was like, machismo culture is very much understood to be like super strong patriarchal men, blah, 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 blah. Marianismo is something that's less talked about, but it's the Virgin Maryification of women. It's like perfect women are mothers and they heal and that's their lot in life.
They're pure. Yeah.
That's their purity. But I don't know what the renunciation is.
I think because she was running for vice president and then she dropped out of the race because she was sick.
Yeah.
It was probably renouncing the run for vice president.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Illness, true. Cervical cancer diagnosed in 1950. Had a hysterectomy. Possible lobotomy for the pain.
I watched an Ask a Mortician episode about the iconic corpse of Eva Peron. And so, yeah.
What do you mean iconic?
Because they paraded her corpse?
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because it becomes an icon. It becomes a figure of something kind of beyond itself, basically.
Yeah.
She has a whole series called
Lenin's
Iconic
Tomb.
Corpses. Yeah, I think she's one on Lenin, too.
I'm sure,
So, what was I going to say, though, about which part of this? Oh, the
lobotomy.
What I was saying about her husband not telling her what she had, that the lobotomy was also probably not informed consent. Like, she maybe didn't say that she wanted to do that. Yeah. And then she got embalmed as well. And that's like not clear that that's what she wanted. And they like paraded her body around. And then they gave the body to somebody to transport to her final resting place, but he got freaked out and then hid the body. And then they moved it to like Spain or something and they brought it back. So now it's back in Argentina and like buried in her family's tomb. But it was this whole, like, it became its own whole prop for like years. And there was this whole thing about like which government was in power and then bringing back the corpse and that being very symbolic of like she's being returned to Argentina. Yeah. It's like such an extreme story of just being used as like you're just like literal body being used as a political prop. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? I'm assuming you do. Do you know how lobotomies happened? How they performed them?
Don't they cut a little slice off your brain?
Yes, but they go through your nose. They used to. I don't know if by the 50s if they were still doing that, but probably.
I've always seen images of either like something going up your nose or like through your eye socket.
Oh yeah, that one too. Yeah, through your eye socket.
What's worse? Let's dive into it, everybody. Which way would you rather go for a lobotomy? I feel like I'm going nose.
I'm going nose.
Probably nose. And I hope that in the lobotomy they do take out the part of the brain that like responds to pain. Somehow they also get rid of that so that I just don't feel it at all.
Yeah, I don't think those are insane
drugs are strong enough back then to like not be. I'm not out. I'm in. Okay.
No, but your brain developed like broadly, like the closer to your spine. Yeah, like the more base, forward. And so like I'm pretty sure we developed pain receptors a lot before we developed like executive function. So I don't think it's going to take out the pain receptors.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's real tough.
It's really hard.
We're going to take a bold stance and say we're anti-lobotomy on this podcast.
I was just about to say, Molly, sometimes on Twitter, I make a joke that I do need to be lobotomized. So.
Like, I'm all, if you want to choose a lobotomy for yourself,
that's what's important.
You know what I mean? That's what's important, is that it's your choice.
Yeah. It's my body, my choice.
Your body, your choice.
Co-opting. Possible lobotomy for pain. Newly developed chemotherapy was tried on her. And by the time she died, she was 79 pounds. So
unreal.
That's just bones, literally.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
I mean, they made Madonna look pretty freaky by the end of this. And so I guess they were really trying to go with what it was like. Yeah.
Because she's very pretty throughout this whole, except for like at the end when she's like dying, but she's very pretty throughout this whole thing, except these fucking colored contacts have to go because they're so dark. They just, it just looks like a big black pupil.
It makes the end when she gets really sick extra creepy because of the fact that she just has these big black pupils. She's like emaciated and pale, and then she just got these black eyes.
It's like The Grudge. Yeah. And then apparently she had tampered with her original birth certificate to give herself legitimate parents and change her birth year by 3 years. So she actually may have been born in 1916, not 1919.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask, did it make her older or younger? But she made herself younger. Okay.
No, she didn't. She didn't make herself older. I'll go out on a limb. I don't know that for sure, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
I mean, look, we know women, blah blah blah. But they say in the musical that she became the first lady when she was only like 26 or something, right? And so it's possible, and I'm assuming that that's the age, based on the age that she purported on the original birth certificate, or like in the 1919 one. So I could imagine a situation where if you're in politics, you might want to seem a little bit older. It's not the way that you would expect for an actress, but for somebody who's like trying to be a legitimate wife of a politician, you're quite young. I could imagine. Yeah.
Elle Woods was going to try to do that, but she figured it'd be easier to just go to law school to get.
Than to change her birth certificate to become a political wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good joke.
Great joke.
Yeah, it was in the vicinity of a good joke, I would say.
Yeah. It's just a little workshopping. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Okay, the musical. Andrew Lloyd Webber's Evita opened in June of 1978, closed in February of 1986. Apparently this occurred because Tim Rice heard a radio show about Ava, I should say. And he'd always but he was a stamp collector. God, this is so boring.
Musical people are so great. I love it.
He'd always been fascinated by her stamp. And then eventually he became obsessed with the legend of Ava. And he actually named his daughter Ava in the process.
Wow.
It's mostly pulled from the book, The Woman with the Whip. It was written in 1952, and it was extremely critical of Ava and only held interviews with people who were against her for the most part. Also crazy that it came out the year she died. So it had to be like,
fighting,
capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Che is supposed to represent the anonymous working class Argentinian. In the original production, they played into like the Che Guevara imagery more so than in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The movie returns the idea to the original roots of what Che is supposed to be.
Che Guevara, though, was not Argentinian, right?
No, he
was Cuban.
Cuban? Is that right?
We're going to double check. Former Minister of Industries of Cuba. Yeah.
Great.
You know things. Look at us.
Yeah. Originally it was a concept art album, just like Jesus Christ Superstar was.
Classic.
Which I feel like you can hear when you listen to the music of this.
There are parts of it that you feel do not need to be a song.
No.
Right. And also like parts where you're like, you just typed notes. You just plunked notes out. And then you were like, music. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You were high on acid. Listen, we know, we get it. Okay. I'm not.
We've all been there.
We've all been there, plunking out notes on a piano on an acid trip. But
I am curious, like the songs that feel really bad in the movie, like were those songs that they added like to fill in from the concept album? Because I can understand some of like the songs are like, okay, I don't know. I guess I don't know how concept albums.
What's your question?
I guess I don't know how concept albums work. If there's like, do you put in the songs in there that are like really just explaining the plot, like? Some of the songs.
That's why you need them on. But you need them on a concept album because you don't have a visual story to tell what's happening. Like, and that's why there's lines like,
blah, blah, blah.
But
or like, I will never accept the middle classes. My father was part of the middle class, and they never accepted me, so I will never accept them. Because you gotta just state your character's perspective. That's the thing you always want to do is just have them articulate their worldview exactly
to a mirror, ideally. You know.
But I do think also that the like Another Suitcase in Another Hall feels like a concept album song because it's in the original production, not in this movie, obviously, but in the original production, it's just the woman who Ava kicks out from the guy she like is sleeping with. Like
in a production, it's like what
it's very Star to Be from Annie, like where it's just like a random chorus person gets the solo moment. And in that way, it's like, oh, you wouldn't write a musical and be like, oh, this random girl needs a song. So that feels concept album-y where it's like, what if I wrote a song from this person's perspective? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I will say I feel maybe we're getting too much into the movie. I feel like they were cowards for giving that song to Ava.
I need to talk for 30 minutes about it.
Yeah.
A full 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Patti LuPone hated doing this musical in the original Broadway production. I don't know why I wrote that other than
she played Evita.
She was the original?
In the Broadway production.
In the Broadway production.
Nice.
And it's like now very iconic hatred that she has for Andrew Lloyd Webber.
There's like a whole, I mean, there's so
this
many.
is like it goes back
a
drop in the bucket.
Sunset Boulevard is where Patti and Andrew fell out. But yes, she does not like Andrew Lloyd Webber. Also, she has said repeatedly that he does not like women. And he clearly doesn't write music for women to sing well, because she was like, she has a wild range. So she was able to do this in the original key, but most productions have to change the key of Ava's songs because it's so, she like screams the whole show. They lower this whole movie for Madonna. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how somebody who's just so clearly heterosexual could have such a disconnect with what women need and want.
Voices.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Okay, so at the what are they called? The Oliviers, thank you. In 1978. This was nominated for Best Director of the Year, Hal Prince. Okay, we love. Best Performance in a Musical, David Essex for oh no, actually I think he was
Che.
And then Elaine Page, who goes on to be in Cats, she won Best Performance in a Musical, and it won Best New Musical. Evita, the film, directed by Alan Parker, screenplay by Alan Parker and Oliver Stone. It's based on the musical, produced by Robert Stigwood, Alan Parker, and Andrew G. Vanya, probably Vanya. Stars Madonna as Ava, Antonio Banderas as Che, Jonathan Pryce as Juan Perón. The first time he plays an Argentinian, which is very funny.
Second time is
in The Two Popes.
Oh gosh, I don't think I ever. I watched some episodes of The Young Pope, and then The Two Popes is
different.
Like the second part of that, or totally unrelated.
Totally unrelated. It's based on it's based on the play, The Two Pope, or it's adapted from the play. But it's point when it's before what's his name?
It's the
before
German
J.K. Rowling.
Pope Benedict,
the German
meets whatever his name is now.
Francis.
Pope Francis.
Yeah.
But it was before Francis became Pope. He was still just a cardinal at the time.
Oh,
but it's like a meeting they have
different.
in the garden at the Vatican.
Yeah. But
it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's
okay.
Jonathan Pryce and Anthony Hopkins. And they're, consummate star. I mean, they're so good at their craft. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good movie, actually.
Which Pope does he play?
He plays Pope Francis.
Okay.
The Argentinian.
Oh, yeah. So Anthony Hopkins is that much older than Jonathan Pryce?
Benedict.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I guess they definitely make him look older for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen what was the movie after? What's Anthony Hopkins' movie after?
The Father.
Oh God.
With Olivia Colman. Have you seen that?
Oh,
no.
So good.
Molly, it'll break your brain.
It'll break your brain.
Okay.
Your brain.
But I honestly, one of the best play to, like, I felt like I was like, this is an evolution of like what the stage play probably, like it's being enhanced because it's
a film. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So. It's about a man who is going through dementia, and the film is really cool in that it uses a multitude of techniques to also make the audience feel like they don't know what's happening, like what the truth of the situation is. Like there's different people play the same characters, and so he's always like,
God.
"Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm your daughter." And he's like, "It's
okay." This sounds like I need to prepare myself though to watch it.
It's such a cool movie. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, guys. I think Anthony Hopkins is good at what he does. I think this kid. I'll come out and say it. Okay?
I think this kid Tony knows what he's doing.
He's so good in the first season of Westworld, and that show becomes such garbage after he leaves. And it's not entirely because of that, but it's one big reason.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And then it also stars Jimmy Nail as the fucking crooner at the beginning. I don't even know what his name is. Okay, cinematography is by Darius Khondji. It is edited by Jerry Hambling. The music is by Andrew Lloyd Webber. Production companies: Hollywood Pictures, Synergy Pictures, RSO Films, and Dirty Hands Productions. Hollywood Pictures was owned by Walt Disney Company. It's distributed by Buena Vista Pictures. It was released on Christmas Day, 1996. That's when it went wide. Its running time is 134 minutes.
Don't I know it?
It feels like 143 minutes, honey, honestly. Its budget was $55 million, and its box office to date is 104. Well, the date of when I copied this Wikipedia page a year ago, so 141 million.
I can't imagine it changed a lot in the last year.
No. Well, they did move it to, because last year I think we had to watch it on Tubi, and this year we had to actually rent it. So I think it did move platforms.
Well, I feel better about the $4 that I spent on YouTube than if it wasn't a $4 that I spent a year ago.
It was definitely free last year because I remember there being
commercials.
Mm-hmm.
We were complaining about it.
Okay. Just some quick stuff about the development of this film. Just real quick, because I don't really remember most of it. So I'm just going to read what I wrote. Originally sold to EMI Films for $7.5 million in 1980, right? This is 2 years after it debuts in the West End. But then the studio got acquired and the rights were sold off. Paramount then acquires the rights with Ken Russell to direct after his success of the musical-ish film Tommy. It's not a musical, but it's a movie that has a lot of musical components to it.
Okay.
He's convinced to apparently Andrew
Lloyd Webber. Tommy?
No.
What?
Tommy.
Just a movie named Tommy.
Okay, because there's a musical named
an album. Oh.
So I don't know if that was a musical made out of this movie.
It's not a music. Oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe that I don't know.
It was a movie in 75.
Yeah.
Tommy.
It's just like it was like a movie that. Yeah, I already said this.
Yes.
He's convinced Liza is the girl to play. Listen, she did great in Cabaret.
I'm Liza Evita.
Liza Evita. Levita.
That is like the worst idea that I've ever heard, honestly.
It's worse than Madonna?
I asked for fortune.
Yes. Absolutely, it's worse than Madonna.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Producers want Elaine Page. She originated the role in the West End. Nobody.
Yeah.
No one is looking for anyone who's Hispanic.
Not even a thought.
Not a
thought in their head at all.
No, they're like,
not a Falcon clock.
They're like, she's blonde. It doesn't matter. Yeah. No, they're not. They're not thinking about it.
Then he gets fired for secretly writing a screenplay adaptation that isn't faithful to the show, and also for saying he wouldn't do it without Liza.
Jeez.
So
I love the idea of an adaptation that the fact that this adaptation exists means that we're firing you. They're not under any obligation to do his version of it, but they're just like, the fact that you would put this to paper, absolutely not.
How dare you?
How dare you? Get out.
1986, Madonna campaigns for the role by showing up to the Stigwood's office in 40s hair and costuming. This is bold.
I mean, it is not that wild.
That's true. I guess
when does showing up to an audition?
When can you Google for me when Madonna is like? No. When Madonna is
most famous
started. When was her debut?
Madonna debut 1982.
Okay, so she's been around for 4 years.
No.
In 86?
Oh, 86. Oh, yeah. 89. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. Can you Google when Dick Tracy is? Famously her first movie.
Dick Tracy was 1990. So after.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Dick Tracy was not her first movie, I guess.
Well, this movie doesn't come out until 96.
Oh, yeah, that's right. This isn't
There's a 10-year period where Madonna is vying to get this movie. Which is probably for the best because I think she's age appropriate in this film.
Yeah.
Even though obviously she has to end up 50 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ava Peron died when she was 33.
30, girl. That was the whole point. She didn't live long.
Could have fooled me. Weintraub Entertainment Group obtains the rights from Paramount. Oliver Stone signs on to direct the project, confirmed as the director and screenwriter in 1988. Okay, so we're 10 years out. We're 10 years from when the show debuted in the West End.
Yeah.
But Madonna,
this Evita timeline.
Every time I get Oliver Stone and Roger Stone confused.
I know you said this exact same thing last year.
I think it's that I don't know what Oliver Stone looks like, so I picture Roger Stone and his weird.
I mean, how many directors do you know what they look like?
Fair enough. Greta Gerwig, I know what she looks like.
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, she's the one who said "fuck you" to Donald Trump or whatever, right? Oh no, that's Greta Thunberg. Madonna meets the director, demands script approval and a rewritten score. Plans fall through. which is funny because they do end up not rewriting it, but they do lower it for her. Meryl Streep is scouted and learns the entire score in a week. Okay. Now that is genuinely impressive. Say what you will about Meryl Streep. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
Stone remarks that she is, quote, staggering.
Is that good or bad?
It has to be good.
I would think
a British man saying staggering.
Yeah, I think that it's probably positive. I mean, it's interesting because she does Mamma Mia, and
she does.
And Into the Woods.
I know that she like trained in opera or something, right? Like, yeah, she has a vocal background.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I feel like nothing I've seen. I didn't actually watch Into the Woods. I didn't watch the movie version because I love the stage show so much. I just like don't want to.
Well,
so like maybe her vocal performance in that is like really amazing, but I feel like usually it's not. She's staggering. It's not the word I would use to describe her vocal performances.
I mean, also we're giving her, this is like 20 years.
That's the thing that's interesting is I wonder, had she done this, if she was at like the top of her game vocally at that time, and then how different our perception of her and her career might have been had this.
Also, you're forgetting her other musical roles, which do include Perry Home Companion.
Sure.
Minnesota.
Yes.
Minnesota.
I'm from there. Yeah.
And what's the other one where she's like a rock star?
Ricky and the Flash.
Written by Diablo Cody.
But these are all like, she's like.
Also Minnesota.
Oh, really?
Diablo Cody from Minnesota. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I think that Juno is actually supposed to be set in the Twin Cities. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Streep. Okay. 1989, riots of Argentina. New locations scouted for filming. Hard to shoot a movie around a riot. WEG Studio goes under, and Stone takes rights to Carol Co. Pictures with Streep as the front runner. Meryl demands higher compensation and something called play or pay with 48 hours notice. So basically, like, you have to book me or we're done. Like, we need. Time's a ticking, bitch. I'm at the height of my game. I'm Meryl Streep and it's 1989. You gotta book me, bitch.
Book me now.
And so they don't, and she drops out of the project. Stone then drops out of the project.
He's like, if I don't have my staggering.
Sometimes we have movies and I'm like, I don't know. It just the movie just fell through exactly how it's supposed to, blah, blah, blah. This is like every sign from God that they should not make this movie was happened, and they were bound and determined. 1990, Walt Disney Studios acquires the rights for Hollywood Pictures with Madonna attached.
Disney saves the day.
Disney saves the day. Budget climbs too high, seeks other production studios to offset the cost. Stone is back in, and then he's out again. Alan Parker signs on to the project in 1984, throws out Stone's script, and uses the concept album and articles about her life as reference. Ends in a lawsuit where they share screenwriting credits.
Ooh.
And then finally, the U.S. Department of State and Senator Chris Dodd get the production a meeting with Argentina's president, which allows them to film in the country, but not at the executive mansion. And also their executive mansion is called the Casa Rosada, which I think is cute. Very different than a White House. Okay.
So Rose
House.
Pink House is better.
And that's all the information I have on the development of this film.
Yeah.
But it took a while it took 16 years for them to get this shit together.
Wow.
Yeah.
At that point, what point would you have been like, if you were involved in the creative team, be like, I think it's done. I don't think it's meant to be. Like, at what point in any of these steps?
When the first production company went under back in 1980. So when I would have been like,
yeah, the question is like, how much money did the musical make? Because if the musical revenue indicated this is probably going to make a good chunk of money, then I feel like you would stick with it for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Very true, Molly. Very true. Some people considered for some roles. So Ava, okay, we got a list of women. I don't know. I don't believe half of these, but I've got a list. I've got binders full of women. If you really want to say
full of women.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay. Grease 2's own.
Absolutely.
Glenn Close.
Okay.
Sunset Boulevard.
Andrew Lloyd Fave.
Jennifer Lopez, someone who is Hispanic. We love to see it.
I love that. How old was Jennifer Lopez though when they made this?
In 1996, she was like what, 12? I don't know.
Yeah, she seems a bit young for it.
She was 50 when Hustlers came out, so she probably was like in
her young
2018.
Yeah,
yeah,
she would have been in her 20s.
Oh, okay. I guess it would have been that wild.
She wasn't famous yet, though, right?
It's just that she hasn't aged, so
yeah, she was born in 69.
She was born in 69.
Wow.
She would have been
good for her.
20 in 89. That's math, and you can take that to the bank.
That's math, baby.
Mariah Carey.
Okay. She's got the voice.
She's got the voice, Curtis. That would have been incredible, I have to say.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been good, but it would have been a spectacle. It would have been camp, is what it would have been.
Yes.
In a way that weirdly Madonna does not give us camp in this movie.
Exactly, yes.
A Mariah Carey Evita reminds me of like that Whitney Houston movie that came out. It could have been like a Bohemian Rhapsody moment. I felt like it could be like, could this be fun? Like,
I can't wait. It
would definitely be way more fun. I want to see a Mariah Carey Evita now.
20 years from now, when we get the Mariah Carey biopic, like I can't. It's gonna be great.
Well, it's all going to depend on who they cast to be her, though.
What child will grow up?
They're not alive yet.
Prodigy.
They're not alive yet. Gloria Estefan.
Great.
Again, Hispanic.
Who's Hispanic. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Eastern European. Also old. Also very old. At the time, even in 1980, she would have been older than Ava ever reached. Let's say that. Barbara Streisand. I don't know. Juan.
That's gonna be a clip.
Nick's gonna timestamp that for sure.
Timestamp that one. Patty. Okay, fine. Sarah Brightman.
Yeah. Oh
no, I don't think that would have been a good idea. Bette Midler.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad.
Other than the Hispanic part. Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
Oh yeah. That's par for the course here, though. Is that we're not getting.
Bette Vita would be fun too. Bette Vita would be a camp.
Bette Vita, yes.
Bette Vita and Olivia Newton-John.
Oh
no, because I don't. Did she ever do any work in which she had an American accent? I think she always was Australian in anything she ever did.
What's new?
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires.
Okay, so a fun cast of characters. Were any of these actually considered? Probably not. These are just fun.
Who knows?
Che, Patrick Swayze. Okay, Antonio Banderas is good in this, and he's Spanish.
Yeah,
which is not Hispanic, but it is
Hispanic, but not Latino.
Yeah, Hispanic, but not Latino. Thank you. I always have to figure out the like concentric circles of like what fits around what. Patrick Swayze, he would have been hot though.
He would have been good in it
in late 80s. Yeah, I mean that's peak Swayze.
I mean, let me tell you, I'm looking at this list. There's a lot of hot people on it.
Yeah,
Mandy Patinkin, hot, very hot in the 80s. John Travolta, somebody hot in the 80s. I hate to say it.
He was hot in the 80s.
He's a Scientologist. We can't say that too loud. Molly is by them, so we can't yell about it too much. And Sylvester Stallone, not traditionally hot, but still hot.
Yeah,
hot energy.
Hot energy. But Antonio Banderas, I think, is the clear choice. Yeah.
It's good that one person in this is Hispanic.
He kind of you remember when we were like action stars doing musicals? Like Antonio Banderas kind of fits that thing. I think we talked about it with like
his career is really weird because he doesn't get to do action stuff until later.
Yeah.
Because it's I think this is like one of his first movie. Well, no, maybe not this. Philadelphia, I think, is one of his first movies with Tom Hanks.
Oh, wow.
Who
is he in Philadelphia?
He's the lover. He's the one who has AIDS.
Really? Wait, I thought it was, isn't it Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington in that movie?
No.
Or like the two? Oh. No. I'm just thinking of Antonio Banderas. Okay, I don't know how I got those two people mixed up. They're not similar at all.
Interesting, Molly. You want me to cut that out?
No. Okay.
Let me see.
What was I going to say? I wanted to
Antonio's IMDb.
Yeah, I think that this is like a being European and suave thing, though. That he is in a part of our brain where like the masculinity is not thrown off by being in a musical in a different way than Christian Bale. I mean, I like Christian Bale more for having been in some people. Him being Andy's and him being Batman, it's hard to put together. But I think being Che and Evita and then being Zorro, like they flow. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. I loved Zorro growing up. Oh my God.
You loved the TV show or you loved the movie? Movies?
Yeah.
Oh, I also loved the TV show. Actually, my sister and I used to watch it. Like the old ones.
His first.
Yeah. Philadelphia right there.
Yeah. He's in An Interview with a Vampire.
Yes.
And Philadelphia, I think is his first like, yeah, first. Also, I didn't know that the director of Philadelphia was Hispanic. Oh, no, it's
Denzel
not.
is in
That's
Philadelphia.
a character name. I'm sorry.
Okay, Denzel's in it? Okay, yes. Thank God.
Yeah. He's the lawyer?
Yes, I'd seen this picture of the freaking movie cover. I'm not crazy. Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington.
Okay. don't know what you're trying to prove here, Molly. Okay. At the Oscars. Yeah, at the Oscars. This is nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and it doesn't win Best Original Song for You Must Love Me, which is apparently a song in this film that we all remember.
She sings it.
Is it the bad one when she's like dying?
I think so.
He has trouble writing songs. He has trouble writing sad Act 2 songs. Mm-hmm. I think is where he struggles. If it's like if it's sad, but it's something somebody wants and it's an Act 1, I think he's like okay. But like once you get into like the resolution, it's just like, what? No, we don't. He doesn't care. Okay, let's move on to the film.
Bad.
It's not good. The movie, actually having watched it twice now, it's not very good, babes. I have to tell you. I'm so sorry to say it.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's a bad movie. I've killed Molly.
I just wasn't expecting the accent, it's delightful.
Well, it's still fun to make fun of like British people's accents. I'm not going to do an Argentinian accent. I actually think that's probably not best for our podcast.
Yes, I agree.
Growth. Okay.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, it's not. Molly, what do you think? General oversight.
Well, how about let's frame it as like what you remember of how you felt the first time, and then like has that been fortified or challenged when you rewatched it?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, okay, host.
I think I find it mid. If I'm allowed to use some Gen Z terminology.
Gen Z.
And it really, in rewatching it, struggled to grab me now that I knew it was going to happen. There were like some songs where I tuned in, and then it was hard for me to remain. And like, I could have tried harder to watch it, obviously, but I think also that speaks to, like I said, it's kind of like dour at points. So it's just, I didn't want to really engage with it. But because like, here's one that I know that you don't agree with me on, but like if we had to watch something or everybody's talking about Jamie again, I feel like I would be like,
I would easily watch Jamie again.
Yeah. Right.
This I was like not looking forward to watching again, but I knew I had to.
We put it off for so long. It's funny that like I talked about not liking Les Mis a lot, but we did it a lot sooner than we did Evita. We were like more willing to rewatch Les Mis. Gosh, and it's like aesthetically, while I wish it was more fun, it's like really well put together. Like you are watching a professional movie, very much so. I just
especially in this like rented version where I was like, oh, the quality is better than Tubi's version last year.
I think while it seems like Madonna should be able to carry it based on her star power as a pop star, I just don't think it translates well enough into the film form.
There's nothing, it doesn't feel like it really hooks into her, that she's not like grounding or like carrying. She's not carrying the movie.
And I think, and she relies on her to carry. I mean, it's sort of like an opposite Funny Girl situation of like, it kind of needs the charismatic star and it just doesn't quite have it. I think also I was thinking about like, if somebody wrote this musical now, especially in like a post Hamilton world, we would expect so much more diving into the actual politics of what's happening. Like it was frustrating me how hard it was to figure out like, but what is this actually referring to? And I couldn't tell to what extent it was that in the 80s, it was like more recent history. So they just thought people would get some things that they were referring to in a way that I was like, no, I need you to explain like what you're talking about versus just thinking, well, this isn't really about, it's not about the politics, obviously. Like it's about her becoming iconic and transcending the actual politics of the situation. But I feel like in order to understand the significance of her transcending the politics, I need to also know what the politics are. Mm-hmm. And so I was frustrated that it was like every time I started to get a question brewing about like, wait, so what's really happening? It like the movie was like, no, stop asking questions. I'm going to shut that door. I'm going to shove it in a drawer and like, don't ask me anything about it. And so that was also hard, especially paired with the realism aesthetically, that it was kind of like, I felt like the realism was asking me to ask those questions.
Yeah.
I felt like their getaway to try to do that was just throwing a montage of like, and this is the strife that they experience at this time.
This is montage the movie.
So many montages.
It's so the direct. Okay, I agree with Molly in that like I'll spoil it right now because we've already done this fucking movie. But my MVP for this movie is the cinematographer because I think this is like a really well composed film.
Yeah.
I really like a lot of the shots and like the angle. I like when they use, it's like kind of a cliche now to put things on an angle to show that it's like a little distorted, but like I thought that was really interesting. I liked a lot of the shots of this movie, but I think the editing is like, I mean, he just really got what he got and they were like, yeah, make a movie out of that. But like the direction is just like, what's the vision? Like, what's the vision? Like, what am I do? What do you?
I mean, when we first turned it on and it was this long montage of Ava's death and then paralleling it to her going like crashing her father's funeral because she's not allowed to go because she's like a bastard child. And it just went on that I was like, what do you want us to get out of this? That death happens like because there's a shared experience.
There's not a thematic other than like the actual death. There's not like a thematic thing of like,
okay,
the entire nation grieves.
I'm going to disagree with you though, because it's showing the trajectory of her life and the difference of who would ever expect this child who, when she was 10, was so rejected she couldn't even go to her own father's funeral to be grieved by the entire nation in such a significant way.
It just felt like it went on.
It was a long metaphor.
Yeah. In the movie, I think it's very boring when I do this, but I am going to do it. The show just is like, here's the funeral. And then you cut right to like Ava's early life. Like it doesn't have this long back and forth.
Yeah, that was the thing. It kept going back and forth. Like now we're walking down the street with Ava's, and then
now it's the procession.
And now it's the procession. Like there's just a lot that when we watched the stage version here, it really was just like the announcement, kind of like what happens in the movie theater. Like someone announces it, and then everyone's reaction, and then Che kind of like taking that as like, imagine what type of person could cause like an entire country to react like this, and then you see young Ava.
Yeah,
I was like, I think it just
the show really clips along in a way that it feels like the movie does not.
But I do still think that the show still has a little bit of. I think it's in the writing of like, what do we need? What do we think about? What are we supposed to get out of this?
There are still problems I have with the show itself too. I'm not saying that like the show is perfect and the movie fucked it up. Like I think weirdly I don't know what their take on Ava is. And I get that it's
is that the point like just to show us like, look at how wild like this story was of how she like captured the hearts of an entire country.
I think so. I think that's as far as they got with it.
Yeah.
It's a very rough draft energy. It's very concept album when you really...
It's very concept album. I also wrote in my notes from the original one, it's so gay to be like, this political story is actually about this woman with beautiful gowns.
The Adam thinks that the hats really are
it's
more
about the hats, not the gowns.
I think it's a milliner's film, for sure.
Wow. More so than Hello, Dolly.
No, how dare
Nothing
you?
Nothing could out Milliner, Hello, Dolly.
No, nobody can. But I liked anytime just any hat. I was like tickled by hats in this film.
Yeah.
Adam raves. I was tickled by the hat.
I was tickled by the hats. Put it on the front of the poster. Well, let's listen to something. I don't know. She goes to Buenos Aires very early in the film. Let's listen to Buenos Aires.
What's new? Buenos Aires. I'm new. I wanna say I'm just a little stuck on you. You'll be on me too. I get out here, Buenos Aires. Stand back. You oughta know what you're gonna get in me. Just a little touch of star quality.
I hate this song.
Oh, okay.
I hate it.
do you like the original version too?
Oh, no? Wait. I'm confusing the songs. I don't hate this song. This is one of the better songs.
You hate Don't Cry For Me, Argentina.
No. I was thinking of the B.A. Big Apple.
Oh my God.
That I hate.
We laughed when it started because I was like, what words are you saying?
I don't know. I mean, is Buenos Aires even notice Big Apple, or you're just being like, this musical played in New York, so we're gonna reference it, right? Yeah.
I hate it.
And it's look at the fireworks. It's just like the same again and again. And I was like, you're adding nothing with any of these choruses.
Nothing.
I'm not doing anything more. It's so straightforward and I hate it.
I also just feel like it's weird because Sondheim gets very dissonancy later in his works. Mm-hmm. In the 70s, he wasn't really there yet. Like he'd done a little bit with Sweeney, but even Sweeney, I think, is technically 1980.
Like Company's
pretty straightforward. Yeah. It's like a pretty the story itself is like what's unique about Company.
Yeah.
But the music is like, it sounds like a 70s musical. Yeah. There are points in this where I'm like, where the fuck is the melody? Where the fuck is a fucking like you're just guessing notes out of the air. And I can only imagine people who didn't know the show and then came to see this movie in the theaters were like, is she even singing the right?
I mean, you sang it earlier, but the middle classes line is truly like, oh, so you're just reciting
recitative.
It's but it's like it's trying to do like it works for Phantom because it's set in the opera style and it like is harkening back to those classical sounds, whereas like this is trying to like make it super modern. And I almost wish he would have just done it. Wouldn't it have been cool? Do I trust Andrew Lloyd Webber to do this? No. But wouldn't it have been cool if it was like, it did sound like an Argentinian tango throughout the whole thing, or like variations on a tango? Mm-hmm. Like that would have been really cool. But like he just tries to do this like very, I don't even know what to describe.
So 80s.
It's so 80s.
Ugh. I mean, at the time, I'm sure it was like, we're going to modernize this story, but now it sounds so dated is part of it. But also it's just not interesting or creative. It just, there are songs that just feel like they didn't try to really make them songs. So that's what's frustrating. But the actual song that you played, Hello Buenos Aires, is actually good. I think it's a good song.
Yes.
It's maybe my second favorite after Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. Mm-hmm. I feel also, though, frustrated with it because it feels like the song that Madonna should kill the most. And it's not bad, but it's not making me excited either.
No, I mean, obviously it's lowered for her, but there's still, it feels like slower. It doesn't feel exciting. Like there is a performance of Patti LuPone singing this at the Tonys where she is just parked and barked. Like she is just singing there, standing. You see her neck veins as she's belting the fuck out of the song. But you can feel the excitement of like a girl stepping into like the big city for the first time and like seeing all the possibilities that could be for her. And I just don't feel, even in the scene that plays out, it feels so like not demure, like it feels so muted, like it feels like really like subtle. I'm like, what
so much of this feels more intimate than like the musical on stage does, but not in like a way where I'm like, oh, because it's cinematic. Like so much of it is like, I just want it to be a little bit bigger. Like I'm like, it's still a musical, girl. Like yes, I know there's no chorus girls in the show, but like I need something.
But there is like a Greek chorus like in the show. Like they use it in some of the numbers, like the rich people singing or like the soldiers like singing. Like it's still being used. So like it just didn't feel as big, especially for this song where it's like
seems muted.
Yeah.
They could have done like the Guys and Dolls tableau, the city.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like they could have involved the people around in the city in like a dance number or something. Yeah.
We have to get over this thing too. And I say that understanding that I'm a person who loves The Sound of Music and knows that part of the reason I love The Sound of Music is because the beautiful vistas that movie gave me. But like, just because you shot it in Argentina doesn't mean it like is like makes it I don't know. You could have done more interior stuff and I would have been like, oh yeah, probably, because it could have been easier to shoot. I don't know. Something like about
not
it, like,
relying on the location
to like tell half
do
the
your
story
job for you. Yeah.
You still have to like make it animated and kinetic with the the cast that you have, like the people that fill out the.
I want to go back to what Molly was saying though about the music, and it is crazy how like this has some of maybe his worst music, and also
his
some
best.
of my favorite songs. Like I know Argentina. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina is a transcendental.
It's so good.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's the lyrics. I know Andrew doesn't do lyrics, but the lyricism of it and the way she's like discovering how to play with people's emotions in real time and using it like against them, but it still manages to sound sweet.
Yes, and that you feel like you believe what she's hearing.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like when people sing it now, like it's almost, you can sing it super earnestly, or you can sing it in the setting of the play and the show where it's like it's kind of being used as a political tool. Like the fact that the song has two lives basically in that way.
There's so much subtext in that song. And I think one of the weird things about this movie or this musical in general is just like, then there's such lack of subtext anywhere else that I'm like, wow. So you do get it to some degree.
You do understand it, but you are like, well, we don't need to use it to get from one point to the other.
It does feel like it's like as if it were very rushed in the making of it because it feels like some things got so much more time than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, they didn't have any particular time pressures on them or anything. So I don't know.
Nope. Yeah. Well, here's the girl. Here's the queen of the moment. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. Have I said too much? There's nothing more I can think of to say to you. But all you have to do is look at me to know that every word is true.
What do we say about this song? Because it's perfect.
What do we say about what is there to say about this song?
I need more drag queens to perform this song. I need more.
It's shocking that I've never seen. First of all, it's shocking that they've never done this on Drag Race.
Yeah. At least UK. I mean, they've done Cats now. They did Memory.
Oh yeah, they did Memory.
That's so right. Maybe it's coming.
Has US Drag Race done any musical theater songs for?
They did Let It Go.
Lip Sync?
They did Let It Go.
They did
Dream Girl between Latrice and.
No, Chi-Chi
and is that the?
That's when she steps
you got to
on
know
the
where this music is coming from.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh yes, yeah. Because who's she?
Chi-Chi and Thorgy. And Thorgy does the cartwheel. And they're like,
girl.
My question is, why don't they do more spoken word lip syncs? That one that they did from Designing Women is so good.
Iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. When they did that, we all thought it was going to usher in an era of people doing it. Or them doing it like once a season.
It's ushered in absolutely nothing. Anyway, Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. We can't say anything about it because it's perfect. We're talking something
there
else.
There are no notes for this song.
No notes.
It's a perfect closer to Act 1 in the show. It like fits so well within the movie. Like, I think if there's one note I would give it, it's like I wish there was more, because they keep this movie so realistic in all of the like visuals. There's no musical element to the visuals. Like there's no fantastical element to it. And I would want maybe like there's something like where the crowd moves together in a formation, like during the portion of the song where
you wanted
there's no they just cut to faces in the crowd and it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing that like makes it feels flat. Like
you wanted the balcony to jut out of the screen.
I wanted the balcony to come out of the screen. And is that so much to ask for?
I mean, I think we're getting again to like, there's so much of like masses of people in this, but they're so underused in terms of actually being a part of the musicality of the show. And feeling connected to like what's happening with the story that they're telling, right? It's like they just do, like they walk and sometimes they run and sometimes they fight each other. That's kind of it. That's what all the people do. And it'd be interesting to make, because the people of Argentina, you could argue, are a character. Yes. It would be interesting to make them seem more
character.
It would be interesting to make them seem more like a character. Now, maybe that would get weird if you make it seem too like they're all the same. Like it would be making them even more monolithic than they already seem to be in this, in a way that could get weird and problematic at some point. But I feel like there's a way to do it and make it interesting, the way that people could
the problematic ship has sailed on this film. They cast Madonna as Eva Peron. I don't know what to tell. I hate to break it to you, Molly. She's not Hispanic.
You know who does a great like big mass people in a movie musical? Miss Kenny Ortega. She really knows how to wrangle them.
Little Miss Ken.
Little Miss Ken really knows how to get the girls moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish there was more specificity to the crowds.
Yeah.
But I do like
it is. I mean, that's the relationship. Like she's clearly
the whole thing is about
how she tortures them.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you could lean heavier into it being her perspective, and therefore the people as portrayed by how she sees them rather than, you know, how they really are. Mm-hmm. Now it would get interesting if you look really hard into being her perspective of what is Che doing then? Is he a figment of her own self-doubt, or like what's...
This is the one fantastical thing that this film has is Che. And I do like that he is in the scene. He's like and he's almost always like a laborer. Like he's always working in the scenes. And I do think that's cool. But it would be cool if it was like you could easily visually be like this whole, you're getting her version and then he pops in and somehow it looks different.
Yeah.
To be like, don't forget that this is an unreliable narrator that you are like following around. Yeah. That would be super cool. But
yes.
That's a different movie.
I wanted to talk about Che, and I was thinking more about him because I watched Chicago like a month ago. So I was thinking more about the device of the like mid-century narrator in the musicals. Mm-hmm. And this has got to be the most antagonistic magical narrator of any
like
musical,
doesn't
right?
Like it's basically like don't believe what
it's this or
seeing.
Pippin.
Yeah.
Or the two.
Yeah, because Pippin the narrator turns in is like the main player that then tries to so
Ensnare,
Pippin is also pretty directly antagonistic as well. But Pippin's a little bit more like it's like it builds. You don't realize that the narrator has ill intent. Mm-hmm. This one is kind of like from the gate, like from right out of the gate, Che is like rooting against her the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see him being a naysayer throughout. And I think that's a really interesting dynamic. And I wish that I don't know if I wish that the writers had gotten more into it, or if I just wish that the movie was more interesting so that I could spend more time thinking about it. But the idea of a musical told with an antagonistic narrator, I think is amazing.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I will say it plays more. It's more exciting on stage. I think they do a good job here, but I remember on stage they because then you can see more of those moments of Ava trying to kind of like, there's like tension when they're on stage together.
She's constantly trying to spin the narrative.
Yeah. And so when they get to the waltz, it really pays off because it's finally like,
it does not pay off in this movie.
It does not pay off here. It just feels like it's just like a little moment.
It feels like the climax of a more interesting movie when the waltz happens.
Yeah.
But I agree. Yeah. There's not really tension between him and Ava. She sort of like sometimes looks a little annoyed with him, but that's kind of it.
There's that one scene where they're like, it's during, he's singing about like, on to the next guy, like kicking all the guys that she's sleeping with or whatever. Yeah. Like that's the only time they kind of are like.
I actually feel like he seems like the most like her ally in that song. It seems like they're kind of on the same page. He's like helping her to get the lovers out that she doesn't want anymore. Like that's the most bizarre one in some ways to me. I think it would be a more interesting way to do it. And this is maybe how they do it in the stage show, to have it be she is saying it in this very like, I really think
ways. I think,
we all get it and it's fine. And he is like coming at it with a much more judgmental tone.
Yeah.
I think
that probably it kind of is like what we saw on stage, but that's the thing. There's just more to play around with when That's an interesting concept of like, I'm telling my story, but the narrator who's telling my story doesn't believe me. Like, I think you're right. That would be so cool if that was really like the focus of this.
It's interesting that you call it dynamic though, because I mean, it is technically a dynamic, but I feel like because he is so, I feel like their relationship doesn't go, first of all, they don't have a relationship in this movie, which is very frustrating, but
yeah,
I feel like because it also doesn't go anywhere, it feels very stagnant to me in this film. Like, I feel like he's just, that he's going to argue whatever her case is against her.
Right. There's nothing it's not an actual relationship where they're like challenging each other. It's just done for.
Yeah.
And the two of them are this movie. They are the entire film. And fine, but like, I don't know. And I think it's also, it is not helped by the fact that so much of this movie, again, is montages.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I need to see, I don't know if it's like they didn't feel comfortable showing them like
singing,
lip syncing as much. I don't know. I could not figure out what it is, because they do have her lip sync sometimes, but like obviously in the show on stage, there's just so much more excitement because anytime you're in a room with people actually singing live in front of you, it's going to be more exciting than watching someone lip sync it on TV. And that's fine and fair. But this movie doesn't try to do, the movie was like, oh, well, in order to like combat that, we're just going to like show clips of other, like just B-roll. It's
B-roll
so much B-roll.
Her helping poor people, or like.
How many times did that building blow up? How many times did we have to watch that building blow up? Girl, I think I saw it 6-7 times. I was like, stop rebuilding the building, honey.
It's the same
girl,
building over
Blitzkrieg, honey. What are we doing? Talk about Argentina. Just referencing like the Nazis that went to Argentina after.
Anyway. Oh, okay. There's a couple steps between that you needed to explain there. Okay,
my brain works at 100 miles an hour.
We just can't keep up with your quick brain.
I don't know.
There were so many montages. It makes it really hard to feel any intimacy with the characters.
Yes. Especially since the movie is shot so intimate.
Yeah.
You're like,
And I'm wondering too, what you were saying about how it's not dynamic between them. Would it be more interesting if Che started off seeming more sympathetic to her and then like grew to hate her over time?
I wish Che, and this is more of a problem I have with like the musical in general, is like I wish Che felt reflective of. I wish he bounced back and forth more. I don't need him to like start here and end here, but like I just wish
you want him to be the audience. Like you want him to like also be.
He starts the show. She just died, and he's like, "But don't believe everything you hear, because this bitch, honey, the library is open." And it's like, okay, but wouldn't it be cool if you're like, this was our like we loved her, da 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 da, and then over the course of the show, he starts like do a wink and a nod, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
more of a Pippin narrator is what you're saying.
Yeah, really. Maybe if he was played by Patina Miller, maybe. I don't know. I think it would be cool.
Then maybe she has to get in a box that's going to self-immolate, and I
would love to see
I would love to see a female Che. I would love to see a female Che. That'd be great.
Yeah,
a lesbian Ava and Che. Yeah.
Oh my god, the waltz.
The waltz.
Honey,
Tango
Maureen, honey.
Tango Maureen, honey. I mean, I feel like there was not enough chemistry between Madonna and Antonio Banderas, which those are two
people.
Hot. I don't know how they managed to seem so not connected to each other.
Yeah. He probably didn't know that much English, to be honest.
Okay, well, you don't even speak the same language to have chemistry, so I don't know. But
you should know, Adam. You've met Korean men.
It's true, and I had plenty of chemistry with that
at the concert.
I just think I feel almost like this is supposed to be a movie about Che and Evita, and it seems like they tried to make it a movie about Ava and Peron, and it's like, I mean, he's there, but like,
Peron is the least interesting character in this. Well, no, the fucking crooner is the least interesting character in this whole fucking movie. And this guy sucks. He's bad. I don't like his singing. I'm going to say this. I'm not even going to play the song because it's not even worth it. The song's not even good enough to play. City of stars. Just for me. He is doing this bizarro performance where it seems like he's trying to like make it comical.
Yeah.
And I do agree that most of this movie is not funny. So if you're able to put comedy in it, fine.
Give us some levity.
But I also feel like every woman in that like bodega is just like, like careening over this man. And he is just not fun. Hot. He's not hot. He's not, he doesn't sound great. He's not like charismatic.
I would like to just lodge a formal request that you never say the word creaming again. But,
I was quoting Grease.
Chicks of cream.
Other than that, I absolutely agree that, it does seem like he's meant to be a character that really inspires passion in women, and it doesn't really read in the way that the character is being portrayed. It's just, the whole dang movie's not sexy enough. That's really the whole point of this.
Argentina. This country came up with a fucking form of tango in which you bounce legs around each other. And this movie couldn't be less horny if it tried. It has a whole montage.
It needs to learn from Grease too.
It has a whole montage in which she like sleeps with dozens of men. And at no point are you like, she's sleeping with any of these men.
No.
But also, I will say that montage is not supposed to be like, she's hot for them. She's like...
Right. You're supposed to understand she has distance between them. She's using them. But it seems like we could have had a lot more sexy stuff going on in this movie.
I have to talk about this. This is my favorite song in this musical.
We're going into that?
We're going into this now. My favorite song in this musical is not Don't Cry For Me, Argentina. It's not Buenos Aires. It is Another Suitcase in Another Hall. I love this song. I think it is so inspired. I think it's super cool. This movie decides that what it's going to change from the musical is that it's going to give this song, which is traditionally sung by the girl that
Eva kicks out.
And I don't think it's even Peron's house. I think it's like someone else.
No, it's Peron's.
Oh.
It is Peron's.
It's like it's after they meet at the dance that they're finally like, we are finally going to like make a partnership with one another. And when she goes to her, whatever, because they do the bit of it in the movie and they sing a reprise, but she kicks out one of the girls that like is
Peron has been seeing.
That basically it's like, you're done now.
It's my turn.
It's my, like, this is over now.
And so then this girl gets the song where she sings Another Suitcase, Another Hall, talking about like, so what happens now? It's very melancholy in a way that like is really cool. And this movie just gives it to Madonna. And I feel like there could be a bunch of reasons. There could be just like, they don't want to have to find a girl. They think it's more interesting to give Madonna another song. Madonna wants the song because it's so good. Who knows what the decision for this movie comes from. I think it's a bad choice because this is the first in the show. Another Suitcase, Another Hall is the first decision you see her make where you as the audience are like, oh,
she's got throat.
She is ready to do whatever it needs to be done. She doesn't care about the people that later she will purport to care about.
Yes.
She does not actually care. And to cut that like context for the audience away is so fucking dumb.
Okay, well, I will say in a little bit of defense of them that she does reprise it. They try to do a different thing of being like, and now Ava has put someone else in the position that she was in and she should be more sympathetic. So there's like a moment of criticism of Ava that still exists. But I feel, as I said, I think that they're cowards. I think that they were too nervous to make us dislike Ava. I think they thought that we had to just be sympathetic to her the whole time. And so they thought that giving someone else this really affecting song that is where we don't have a parallel with Ava and we don't have a moment of like, but Ava also went through this. So like, you kind of have this sense of like, but she'll be okay because we saw Ava succeed after, right? And so I just think that they should have been more willing to like have us dislike Ava at parts of it.
Yes.
And that's my suspicion as to why they gave it. I mean, it totally just could be that Madonna wanted to sing it, but I think it'd be more interesting if they let us dislike her more.
Yeah. Because the other thing too is like in the show, it starts with one girl and then a couple more girls come out. So you realize that this is like a thing that's like happening all over of all these girls being taken as like a mistress, but then like it's all for nothing, which is like harkens back to her mother being not the like a legitimate partner, like not the wife of her father.
Yeah.
And then also is like shows that Ava is like one of the people who like once they get into positions of power or whatever, pull up the ladder right behind them. Like they get up the ladder and then they're like, bye, no one else is coming up this ladder behind me. It's me and that's it. And I think that is a very astute observation of how some people choose to enact or like acquire their power. And I feel like that really interesting take on her as a person is like, unfortunately, given short shrift in this film.
Yeah. I do feel like at this point we should pause and say, I don't know what kind of historical research they did. We did very minimal historical research on her. This is like a level of commentary about her as a person that I have no idea to what extent it resembles the real historical figure of Eva Peron.
Is she a real person?
Obviously the broad strokes are correct. And obviously Perons were hugely popular, but very problematic regime. Like that's all true, but we don't know like if she was kicking people out of his house and if she was pulling up the ladder behind you. Like we just don't know that. And so I just
this version of Eva does that. And I think
we're
that's
just talking about the Eva that exists in the musical when we're saying
right.
Yeah. And I think that that's an interesting person to portray for sure. I feel like too, if you wanted to emphasize, oh, this is a little bit cruel because it's something that Eva went through herself, you could have had a shorter visual. It could be like something she does with her suitcase when she leaves the lounge singer and then you see the girl do the same thing, or something that like you don't need to have them both sing the song necessarily to make that work. And I think it's better to have the song really belong to the sort of unnamed girl. And also just thinking, this is like a little bit off topic, but you guys talked at the beginning about the funeral and how it feels not thematically interesting. It would be cool if the end of the movie also had clips of her at her father's funeral somehow. Right? Where it like went back to that. And then I don't know what part of the funeral I would want to see at that point, but to see like people grieving and Eva and then maybe seeing her grieving her father and like maybe shut out of the place and then we see her in a place. Like
I mean it would be cool to see people like wailing at her dead body the way she is like taken out of her father's of the church when her father is
I mean, maybe it would be weird only that the father is not like a character at all. And so you would be back to being like, hey, why would we care about that guy? But I think there would be something to, if you're going to spend all that time on the father's funeral at the beginning, it seems like they could have done something to harken back to it again at the end. Because of course the movie does begin and end with her funeral as well. So
yeah, it's weird because I don't think the musical, well, hold on. Let's listen to a little bit of Another Suitcase, Another Home.
Time and time again I've said that I don't care, that I'm immune to gloom, that I'm hard through and through. But every time it matters, all my words desert me, so anyone can hurt me. And they do. So what happens now?
Another suitcase in another
What happens now?
Take your picture of another wall.
Where am I going
You'll get by, you always have before.
Where am I going to?
I think it's interesting that the musical really doesn't show. It's like you find out the information that they are not allowed to go to the funeral because they are bastard children. And Eva doesn't really have, it's like bad, but then they like move on from it. And I almost feel like by making it this bigger scene, I felt like I was like, oh, did she know her? Like, I feel like the interesting thing you're supposed to understand is that Eva came from, she is nothing. She is a no one to the point that she is a illegitimate child looked down on by everyone in the town.
Yeah.
But like then adding this whole like she's weeping over her father, I was like, oh, I thought she didn't know it. Like, do they know each other?
Yeah. The part that's important is the wife refusing her mom and not letting them in, and not the breaking in and wailing over his mom's casket.
It's the
really
class
that part
thing.
Shouldn't be in it.
It's about class. As
I will never
Eva
put them in a class.
My father was in class.
There is a part. Okay, I have to do this. I hate to do this. I'm so sorry. There is a musical called The Musical Musicals Musical. I've talked about this many, many times. I'm so sorry to bring it up, but people keep not listening to it, so I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
There is an Andrew Lloyd Webber segment, and the character's name is Junita. And there is a segment in which she sings
No, I won't. I will never sing for the middle classes. My father was middle class, and I hated him, and he hated me. I only like the lower classes and the upper classes. Screw the middle classes and their so-called morality.
Junita storms out.
and it's very funny.
It's very funny because
basically
exactly
what happens.
Basically what she says, yeah.
It's basically what she's saying.
Screw the middle classes. I will never accept them. My father's other family were middle class, and we were kept out of sight, hidden from view at his funeral.
Also, can I say, does she hate the middle classes? It seems like she hates the upper classes. That seems to be what actually happens in the musical, is that she's a woman of the people, as she purports, but she doesn't really deal with the middle classes. She gets rid of the landowning British people.
I think she is aspirational to want to be upper class, and she knows that her populism can come from the lower class.
Mm-hmm.
I think she, in a time when we really understand that centrism is the only way, the middle class, suburbia, they see her for who she really is.
Oh, the middle class are the wise men of this society. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Because you can frame the upper class, which she does, as being like oligarchs, which they are. And by being like, I will redistribute the wealth to you, the poor people.
Yeah.
And typically the poor is a very wide segment of the population for countries that are still developing.
One could argue even here, the poor is actually
One
wide
could even argue there's a lot of poor people in America.
One could.
I wouldn't say it, but someone could.
What are we talking about? Sorry.
We're talking about
getting
class.
lost in class.
So when they do the song,
Whatever happened to class?
when they do that song, the
Does
money keeps
anyone still wear a hat?
when they do the song, money keeps rolling in. Is that meant to? I'm always confused by it because
Rolling.
Yeah.
Rolling.
Because I'm tonally because it's Chase song, right? Like he sings it, and he sings about how that it's working, or that it's like the guys is working, that look at all the money that we're giving to the poor at the expense of Peron being, getting rid of his enemies. I always get confused about is this meant to kind of prove or to show the final rise basically for Ava.
Well, this is the MLM song. This is the
it's the Lulu.
Yeah, it's the
LuLaRoe song.
Yeah. It's your Arbonne. It's your... No, I just mean that I think the point of it is they're all bad people, and they are taking the poor's money
and just giving it back to
and then, but we don't know, they're giving, yes, some of it is going back to help, but is all of it going back to help? Do we know for sure?
The majority of it, yeah.
Right. That's the question.
Yeah, so Peron, he rode the popularity with the unions. That was really his big thing, and how he got into power. But I guess it was a constant balance. The two big power blocks that he had were the unions and then the military, and it was always kind of a balancing of the two. And one thing that he promised was that he would give everyone a parcel of land. And then that happened, but only in a very limited kind of way. So it was sort of he did maybe just enough for people to make it seem like he was kind of keeping his promises, but he never really redistributed wealth in a super meaningful way. But people loved the
promise,
message and the idea and the promise. Yeah. And that was kind of core to the whole Peronism.
It's just, it's textbook populism. It really is I was telling Adam, if Melania had come out and was if
Melania had been able to string a sentence together, my God. Imagine.
No, if Melania was I understand the immigrant struggle, and that was the platform that Trump ran with. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. If she could have been as equally as important to Peron or to Trump as Ava was to Peron, we would be in a very different situation, because Peron's Peron, like Trump, right? There is like it was a populist message of like the rich don't get you. Bizarrely, you're rich.
Bizarrely,
yes. Yeah. The rich don't understand you. I am the only person who really is fighting for you. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Peron just also had this machismo / Marianismo.
Marianismo.
What was it? Marianismo of like, also I have the delicate, strong, like beautiful woman.
We represent the ideal couple. Yeah.
We are the future of Argentina.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's not great. I also feel weird. I do feel weird. I don't know. There's something. Let's listen to a little bit of Rollin', Rollin', Rollin'. I don't even know if that's what the song is called.
Eva's pretty hands reach out and they reach wide. Now you may feel it should have been a voluntary cause, but that's another point, my friends. When the money keeps rolling in, you don't ask how. Think of all the people guaranteed a good time now. Eva's called the hungry to her, open up the doors. Never been a fan like the foundation, never run.
I do think it's interesting that this musical is about Eva. I get that she is the most interesting person, right, in this whole situation. It does feel weird to me that if you are just enjoying this piece, Juan could come out pretty unscathed from anyone's point of view of watching this, because except for when they start killing people, that's not great.
It's not good.
But so much of it is like she's really like coordinating this whole thing, and it's also like how much of that, you know what I mean? Like there's something about it being like, well, women, wily women.
There's also, I feel like, a little bit of like poor Perón, who like maybe loves her more than she loves him, or like he loves her as a person and he loves her. He loves her as a person and she loves him as like an idea.
That feels really familiar for Andrew Lloyd Webber, doesn't it?
Oh, I thought you were about to talk about our personal lives for a second. Okay.
No. No, I was like,
we'll discuss that later.
Oh, God.
There's like a baller scene where he says something about like, I could still imagine us like just going off into exile and like just having a drink together on a veranda. And she goes, I have that nightmare sometimes too. And he has this look that's very like, I was not trying to describe a nightmare of like calmly sharing a drink with my wife in another country. It was like, so I feel like that part of it kind of undercuts any commentary about Perón as like a real political figure, because he's a little bit of like a sad man. He's a little bit of a Mr. Celibate.
Yeah.
It's weird too, because it makes the movie feel like it's like, oh, he just happened to end up as the president and had no aspirations of his own to be there. And it's like all through her wishes that he got to where he got. And it's like, I don't know. Probably not, right? I mean,
it's
he
like
probably
that,
wanted to be president.
It's like that Hillary Clinton story. Do you know the Hillary Clinton story? That she was driving through
the blue dress. Oh no,
no. They were driving through her hometown and they stopped at a gas station, and the guy she had dated
outside Chicago. She's from a suburb.
Oh, okay. The guy she dated in high school was working at this gas station in their hometown, and so she like said hi to him, and they get back in the car, and Bill says, "Isn't that funny? If you had married him instead, you'd be the wife of a gas station attendant." And she said, "Oh, honey, if I had married him, he'd be president of the United States right now." Which honestly slay. But I think that is also kind of the narrative that they're trying to advance to create here. Evita. Yeah. It's like he would not have been able to do it without her. And she's really the whole brains behind the operation.
There is this like, I wonder if it's like a trope. I mean, we've seen it in Scandal, like Melly. Like there's this like kingmaker trope of
it's
like
Antony and Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yes. It's like behind like the greatest man, it's like the wife who has all the drive and power.
It's a long told story.
It's Nancy Throat Goat Reagan. I mean,
I believe I submitted to HR previously that we weren't using that.
HR got fired, girl.
HR is sleeping on the couch right now, girl. HR is now reading emails.
HR my complaints.
Still learning to read.
I've sent so many emails.
Yeah, there's been a few.
There's been a few of them, yeah.
Even American first ladies who it's like.
There's a whole show about all the first ladies, but like.
Eleanor?
Yeah. Eleanor, would you say Eleanor's probably the biggest one that's like, she really held.
Credited as having run things for him. Yeah.
No, Woodrow, apparently the whole conspiracy is like Woodrow Wilson's wife was the first female president of the United States. Like she like ran the show.
Because he was also like ill.
Did a whole separate pod about it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I would think it's Eleanor is like the one example that I know.
I would say she's maybe the most famous now because Woodrow Wilson was president quite a while ago. So there's nobody that really, I don't know. I don't know if people are alive now who were alive when Eleanor Roosevelt was first lady, but it's more recent history. She had quite
the span of time that she was.
But wasn't Eleanor's also because like he was like sick or like he was, or no?
That is polio, part of it for FDR. And is it also with Woodrow Wilson? Is that he was supposed to be, was he ill as well?
Oh, I didn't listen to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
No. Who knows?
Research now.
No. Not me. I didn't know we were going to talk about Woodrow Wilson today.
You're the one that brought it up, honey.
I brought up first ladies.
You brought up
I just wanted to bring up Nancy Frogo rated.
Just really wanted that Nancy joke in. You just had.
I love making Molly mad. It's so fun. Yeah, Hillary. That was Hillary's whole narrative.
Yeah.
I actually don't think her narrative while Bill was president was that she was like running the show, but that she had aspirations to
be.
That she was much more involved in the politics than the average first lady. Yeah. Yeah.
And she made a lot of people mad with the I don't make pies or something like that. Whatever that one thing that happened when she was like when he was running for governor of Arkansas.
Yeah. Because you know how every woman has to represent all women. And we couldn't just have multiple people who are women who live their lives in different ways.
You got to pull up the ladder.
You got to pull up
that ladder behind you. There's only one woman that
you got to break through the glass ceiling, and then you got to call the glass company and be like, "Hey, I have a glass ceiling that's broken. Can we get a patch on that, please?"
Right. At the end of time, we know there'll only be one woman standing, and we're all programmed to compete to be that person.
Anne Hathaway, we couldn't let her win. We had to bring her down.
The Shakespeare one or the now one?
Both. It's a cursed name, just like recording Evita.
Hamnet. Okay.
I had a moment when you said that where I just looked up at the top of the Zoom just to be like, this is recording.
This is recording, right?
Okay. This isn't a fever dream, is it?
We do this 3 times. Oh my God.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is there anything else you want to say about this movie? Let's talk about specifically about performances. This is the one thing I don't really think we've discussed. Okay. I think Antonio Banderas is good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a vocal problem for most of the people in this movie. I don't think the vocals are hitting the way they should.
No one's really killing it.
No. But
in a way, it's better that no one's really killing it, because if one person was really good, then you would be even more aware that no one was really killing it.
Yeah,
but,
and you'd be sad for that person that they were stuck with everybody who wasn't good. But I do think of at least the named people, Antonio's the best one in this movie.
I agree. I think he's the best.
I think his natural suave and charisma just kind of works with it.
And he's not afraid to like really look down the barrel of the lens and like speak to the audience directly, which is very cool.
It feels like he's acting. Like I know, I would say like he's the one that's really acting. I mean, Jonathan Pryce is also acting, but it's such a stuck up character. Like it's just such a stiff character that
it's hard to relate to him. Yeah.
It is funny that we're saying this because I mean, maybe it's just because I know Evita, so I know that like there is a narrative character, but I have to imagine like most movies and most movie musicals, as we can attest, do not have characters that speak directly to camera most of the time. We always like comment on it when it happens.
Yes, one cat kind of said
one cat.
My nemesis.
Your nemesis.
One. But like Tevye, like it's not. There's a handful of movie musicals that do this, and I'm sure for people who, again, like didn't know the show, they walked in, they're like, whoa, hi, buddy boy. But you get used to it pretty quickly. I actually think, I don't love the direction of this movie, but I do think the way they incorporate Che is very smart. And I think feels like the most thought was put into what his role in this film is in a way where it kind of is like, and then they didn't think about what else to do with this movie.
Yeah.
Besides just shoot the movie.
I agree in that I think they were thoughtful on how to get him into the scenes and how to work him into the background and the logic of whatever's happening.
Yeah.
I disagree in what we were talking about earlier, that I think he could have a more interesting dynamic with Evita.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that Antonio Banderas is the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm going to say something crazy and tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I think there is a path for music star to movie star. I think there's a path for movie star to politician. I do not think there's a path for music star to politician, which I think may be where some of the issue, like some of the unbelievability of Madonna. Like, I don't think
I was really not sure where this was going. I don't know why it took me so long. Okay. Yes.
I think there's musical star power. And I think like movie star can fit into like both worlds kind of in different ways. But I don't think somebody who's pop musicians are cool. Politicians are not inherently cool. What's incredible about Madonna is that she's so iconic because she's so like, she was pushing against any mainstream girly that had ever happened before her.
Yeah.
And Ava is just like going for power. She's not like doing. She's just doing.
Not equating.
It's a different thing.
It's a different thing, but doesn't. There's something that you're not buying.
Yeah, this is interesting on like a meta level of. You're saying this would be a more interesting movie if they cast someone in it who is the kind of movie star that we could all see becoming a politician because they can inspire that level of adoration.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to cast a movie star because they could act. Let's start there.
But no, I think that's.
But I am saying that like, well, I think what they're thinking is like, she is such a star.
Yeah.
Ava was such a star.
Right.
They're both stars.
But different kinds of stars.
But they're not the same. And that's where I think it's like doesn't match up.
Yeah.
I think that's an especially interesting idea, especially
so
again in a post-Trump.
Meryl have worked? Is that what? Like,
easily. I don't. Yeah.
Would that Meryl?
I mean, I think that Meryl probably has more charisma that comes through naturally on screen. Madonna obviously is charismatic. She wouldn't have had the career she had without it. But I don't think it translates into a movie. I think I think Meryl would have been able to do that. But no, I have a different question now. And I'm ruining what could be a really good closer, but I think we have to discuss it now. Because in a post-Trump world, the idea of movie star becoming president seems very, very likely. So the question is, who do you think would be the best Eva Peron if we were casting it now in terms of who we could most see as a woman who's a movie star that we could see running for president one day?
Does age matter?
Does it matter when we're electing the president?
I'm sorry. We're not. Wait. No, what's the prompt?
The prompt is, who would you cast Eva Peron now?
A movie star now that you would cast as Eva Peron on the basis, we can exclude ethnicity for this exercise, on the basis that you could most see her becoming president one day.
So I'm saying, does it like?
I think the age would still matter that they would still have to play.
They still have to play Eva Peron, so it can't be like Judi Dench. Even though, God, she'd be great. You know what I mean?
I mean, Judi Dench is also not an American citizen, so I don't think she can be the president. Or
she's not playing the president; she's playing Eva Peron.
No, I'm saying that the actress, the real person, could one day be the president.
Okay, so there's a real viability. There's a viability. Okay.
What current movie star? Although I guess maybe is it more accurate and also more believable to American politics to say you could see her becoming the first lady rather than becoming the president?
Sure. I don't.
Maybe we should do first lady.
So I think
we can be a little loosey goosey with, are they the right age to play Eva Peron now? Yeah, but I think it should be a contemporary movie star. Yes. And I'm basically saying, what female movie star right now you think has the right kind of gravitas so you can see her transitioning into politics?
I want to go last.
After a long
go
prompt, Adam finally got. I've been explaining this for so long. I don't have one. So RJ, you and I have to.
I'll go first if you need me to go.
No, why don't you go so I can know like what area we're going for?
Okay. This is a person who,
I wonder if it's crazy.
No, I don't think so. An extremely skilled actress, has won an Academy Award for Best Actress.
Okay.
She, I think, has been nominated multiple times. She is politically engaged.
Okay.
And I still think she's, I'd say young. I think she's in her 40s.
Okay.
It is Natalie Portman.
I mean, gravitas.
And she's already played a first.
And she played Jackie.
And she's played Jackie.
Yes. I
That's
could
my
see
answer.
Natalie Portman having like a second husband who's a politician, and people would really, not very relatable though. I think would be her biggest issue if she tried to make
her biggest problem.
that switch to politics because she went to Harvard. Like I think people think of her as like a very fancy, refined kind of person, and Americans don't necessarily like that.
Okay, maybe in the same vein.
Yeah.
Maybe in the same vein, maybe not now, but maybe like a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago, or like maybe in like early 2000s, but like a Julia Roberts. Because like relatability strong.
Totally. High
Totally
relatability.
Strong.
She's someone, you know what people vote for? They vote for someone they want to get a beer with. That's Julia Roberts. Have a glass of
Well, I don't know if it's
Chardonnay.
beer, but she is very like approachably pretty, I think is what people really like about her, right? Is that she's so beautiful, but like there's something about it it's not like Angelina Jolie is like a
too much
striking,
unbelievable, striking.
Yes.
Julia Roberts feels a little bit more next door, like
but staggering, but still has the like the Erin Brockovich, like she can still like get in the like a deep
we've seen her
connection of like I can get serious and like I can fight for like what's right kind of feeling.
Okay, I'm gonna give. I think my answer is gonna be more in line with RJ's.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a similar. Like she would have had to play Miss Peron earlier.
Yeah.
But now I think she's the right age to be the first lady, and it is Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, this is compelling.
So
because
I thought of Jennifer Aniston first.
You did.
Yeah, I did.
So she was like America's sweetheart. We all love Rachel. Yeah. We all got the haircut, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we saw her go through this very public break, right? And everyone roots for Jennifer Aniston so hard now.
Yes, truly.
That if
I was Team Angelina. Sorry.
Okay. Well, but I think on the whole, society roots for Jennifer Aniston. Everybody wants her to find that guy that's like the one, and fixes the whole thing. I think she has gained more gravitas as she's gotten older. I don't know if you've ever watched what is it called? The Morning Show? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a really good show. I would recommend it. I think she shows that she's like really grown as an actress in that show.
Adam does not think it's a good show.
No,
you don't think it's a good show?
No, I've never seen it. I just think there's a podcast called Las Culturistas, and their running joke is that it's written by a room of fourth graders. The writers are just like throwing anything at the wall that it's like, oh, there's toddlers writing the show. It's very funny.
I have seen her I saw her movie Cake, where it was like she's like a more serious note. So like she has,
yeah.
But then her comedy is so laid in, like it's like that strong Julia Roberts relatability. Like you just feel like this is a normal, like this is a person that I know. I
think that she has the exact right combination of gravitas and relatability that people would love her as the first lady. Yes, Adam.
Oh, yeah. I have two other options.
Okay. It's the best comp I've ever come up with.
I know.
Gabrielle Union.
Oh,
so good.
She already kind of is giving first lady. Like
I mean, in the Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
So Gabrielle Union and Eva Longoria Parker. I think she's just Eva Longoria now because I think they got divorced.
I can see that too. I think Gabrielle. I feel stronger for Gabrielle.
I think
Gabrielle
Union was one of my first thoughts as well. Actually, that I thought about Gabrielle Union.
Oh yeah,
because she has. It's the elite, like it might be a little too Natalie Portman for some people, but like the poise, it's the poise of like she just seems like she's always put together.
She plays she's scheming, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but she always is a character who has a plan,
something else going. And I think she does have the relatability. I think that
oh my god, her family is adorable. Like I'm obsessed with her family.
I guess Dwayne Wade would be the president. I think she has like the perfect amount of like. I think Gabrielle Union is like a person you see and you aspire to be as put together as she is, but she knows how to like every once in a while, like she would start getting some flack for being a little too aloof, and then she'd like go give the perfect interview to like remind people that she's actually really cool and down to earth. So I think it would be a different type of publicity campaign than Jennifer Aniston, but I think it would work.
Now I just want to cast like who are actresses that I would love to cast as like presidents.
Just cast as first lady.
Yeah, first ladies and presidents. I want to see her.
I still think Eva Longoria is a good answer though.
Yeah, I think she harkens more
super political too.
She harkens more to like a Jackie vibe of like it's more about the image
that
she's giving off.
I've never I never watched Desperate Housewives or I feel like I've never really engaged with like her media. And so I just don't have as much of a strong of an image. She's like insanely pretty though.
She's very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's one of those frustrating people who are pretty and also funny.
And also
it's like,
and also like smart.
Why?
And you're like, damn it.
That's not.
Yeah.
Let us
cool.
uggos have something. Okay.
Please. Yeah.
I can't believe we're casting Gabrielle Union as Evita.
Inspired casting.
Inspired casting. Also, I thought at one point that you were going to say Connie Britton, and that would be another.
Wait, that's the answer.
Friday Night Lights.
Yes.
Wait, that's the answer.
I mean,
American Horror Story season 1.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh.
good. Connie Britton as Evita. Oh my God. We did it. We did it. We solved it.
You solved world peace.
Solved Evita. And honestly, that's gorgeous.
I'm quibbling a little bit. I'm just going to say this. I'm quibbling a little bit with your insistence that the First Lady must be relatable. Only because Hillary Clinton was First Lady of the United States of America.
Yeah. And how did that work out for her, Adam?
Not well, but she still was it. You moved the goalpost to be First Lady.
But they're not running for president anymore. We're talking about an Evita style arrangement in which her charisma is what's carrying the campaign.
Carrying the presidency.
Yeah. And Bill Clinton was the one that had
at the end of the day, Adam, we're still casting a role. Okay.
Sure. And it's funny that in all of these scenarios, Che is still Mandy Patinkin.
Absolutely.
In every single one.
In every single one at any age.
At any age,
girl.
Who cares? Homeland Mandy Patinkin? Sure.
We'll do it.
Kind of cool to see like an older
Che.
Che.
I disagree.
Okay.
I think Che is supposed to be like the young feeling like,
revolutionary.
Yeah. He's supposed to feel to some degree like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be one of the like.
Because if he's too old and he's too judgmental of Evita, it gets a little too like just an old man judging a young woman, and then it's not fun
old
anymore.
Man yells at cloud.
Yeah.
Molly Simpsons.
Molly, that was.
I enjoy that television program. Yes, thank you.
Marge Simpson.
Marge Simpson. That's the answer.
That's the First Lady there. Yep. I just want to point out that we referenced this about how Evita like kind of gets rid of the English, which is like a very confusing line in the movie. And I saw it and was like, I know I looked this up last time. So the deal is that England had colonized Argentina, but they left in like the mid 1800s. But still there was this group because there was an oligarchy that ran Argentina, and a lot of those people that owned the land and profited off of it were people of British heritage. And so that's kind of what they're talking about with the getting rid of it. And what's interesting is that this musical opened before but closed after the Falklands War.
I was just going to say the Falklands War.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is just off the coast of Argentina.
For listeners, yes, Falklands are a group of islands. Actually, I should look up what they're called in Spanish in Argentina.
Falklandos.
Islas Malvinas, the Malvinas Islands. They're islands off the coast of Argentina that are officially under the rule of the British. And in the 1980s, there was a conflict when Argentina basically tried to claim that the Malvinas were part of Argentina. And Margaret Thatcher, who was hungry for a political win at the time, went all in on winning this war for these tiny little rocks in the middle of the ocean, essentially. And it was a very,
very contentious,
bad time in British Argentinian relations. And while that was happening, a musical about a beloved prime minister or first lady of Argentina was playing on the West End, written by British people. And so I just think that would have been fascinating to see the crowd's reactions.
Should we go to criticism? Did we have anything else we want to say about the movie?
The movie? It's fine.
Great. This has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times writes, the music, like most of the Weber Rice scores, is repetitive to the point of brainwashing. It's as if they come up with one good song and go directly into rehearsals. The reason their songs become hits is that you've heard them a dozen times by the end of the show. But Parker's visuals enliven the music, and Madonna and Banderas bring it passion. By the end of the film, we feel like we've had our money's worth, and we're sure Evita has.
This is maybe the cattiest Roger Ebert we've ever read on this podcast.
Yeah, probably. I agree with the first half. I agree less with the second half.
Yeah.
I don't think I got my money's worth from this film.
And I don't think they enliven the music. Certainly that part I don't agree with.
No. But honestly, to get your money's worth on a movie coming out in 1996, when a movie ticket was what, $350? I mean,
but $350 was like $300 now. You got to think about inflation.
You got to think about it that way. Owen Glee removed from Entertainment Weekly writes, by the time we arrive at centerpiece number, A New Argentina, the crowning irony of Evita, that Eva champions the people by celebrating herself, has been steamrolled. What the movie needed was a star who could put across the grand paradoxes of Eva Perón's life through the sheer power of her personality. But Madonna astonishingly turns out not to be that star. She is one of the most vital pop performers of her time, yet in this, her ultimate bid for Hollywood respectability, she neutralizes her most magnetic qualities, the teasing eroticism, the unashamed soul force for vulgarity. Nakedly desperate to be taken seriously as an actress, Madonna plays Evita not as an imaginative extension of her own persona, which is what the film all but cried out for, but as a kind of ghostly sanctified other, passive, refined, not quite there. She drains the life out of herself and drains it out of Evita too.
It's interesting to kind of, it feels, I don't like the pointing to Madonna. Like it's
I don't think Madonna's the problem.
I don't think
she's the inherent problem.
But it is an interesting observation of like not using yourself, like not using what made you popular into this.
It's interesting with the Marianismo too, of did Madonna see the type of femininity that Eva Perón embodied and feel like her rash sort of like sexualized feminism didn't fit, and then like she walked back too far essentially. It's also like kind of just the like her name is literally Madonna and Marianismo, and like there's like a lot of layers of intentional stuff going on. So yeah.
Or like she's like made the active decision of like, I'm gonna play for fine.
Yeah. I wonder if that held her back, is that she felt like she had to act more refined and we kind of needed more raw power.
More Madonna. Yeah.
Sometimes I think if somebody wants it so much, it like becomes too big for them to wrap their arms around and like really do.
Yeah.
And the fact that she like campaigned for this for like 10 years is like, we probably shouldn't have given it to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is something to like, I don't know. I learned once that like Bruce Willis has like a really minor jazz career or something like that. And like, he actually really loves that. And like Barbra Streisand like doesn't want to act. She just wants to sing. And I feel like there's some argument to be made that like the people who are the best at whatever art form are like the people who wish that they could be doing some other art form instead. The thing that you're good at is not necessarily the thing you feel most passion for. And so, yeah, I think that's right. That it's almost like you have to be a little bit detached from how good you want it to be in order to be really good at something.
Yeah. Because it can't make or break you. Like it has to be like it. Well, I don't know. It's all nuanced. Anyway, I don't love being like, well, it's all Madonna's fault that this movie is bad. Because I think this movie is at its heart not directed well. And I think that's the point of the director, is if this performance is what you're getting, to be like, I'm gonna need something different. Yeah. I'm gonna need you to push it or something. But I also think like, again, like what we were talking about is like Madonna's sexuality, that her whole thing, that's not, she could have tapped into that for Eva, but I don't think that's what Ava's thing is either. So I don't know if it would have fit, even if she had tapped into it.
I think she needed to find a way to be powerful without tapping into sexuality. And I think maybe that's what she couldn't quite figure out. Yeah.
On Letterboxd, Matt Morrison fan.
Which, what's wrong with you?
Gave it 5 stars and said, didn't see it, but the song is good.
Very funny. The singular song.
Brittany gave it 2 stars and said, we really just let Andrew Lloyd Webber be publicly lost in the sauce for decades. And it's true. We did. Even up to Bad Cinderella. We recorded this before Bad Cinderella was a thing that we had to talk about in culture.
Wow.
And now we're here post Bad Cinderella.
And I still don't have to talk about it.
Mr. Banks is saved, gave it 2 stars and said, Madonna can't really act, but at least her singing is also bad.
A classic Letterboxd review. Thank you to those who do the Lord's work over on Letterboxd. What would we do without you?
Oh my God. Peak writing.
Like I said earlier, my MVP is the cinematographer. I'm going to go back to that name really quick. His name is Darius Khondji. I think that's probably my favorite part of this movie is the visuals, the
composition of the shots, and
I would mute this. I would maybe put it on mute, just play it in the background as like images. Great.
I really like the idea of one day having like a party where it's all vibes of just me playing silent portions of musicals that I like.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Tony Banderino.
Tony Banderino, famous Italian, cousin from Spain, Italian. Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. Antonio Banderas, as I said, I think is the best part of the musical. I think that he has the perfect energy and swagger. I think that had there been more invested in his relationship with Evita, it could have been a really stellar performance.
RJ?
Oh. Ay. You know what? I'm going to give it to Olga Merediz, who plays Abuela in The Heights, who's one of the sisters.
We almost forgot to say it. I'm so glad that you pointed it out. She's one of the chorus members. Yeah.
Chorus members / family of Ava / she playing one of the sisters, something like that. But
and gosh, I can't believe how long ago 1996 was based on how young she looks to me in this movie.
I know.
Yeah.
That's great.
She's one of her sisters in the movie.
Yeah.
She does great. And she's an actually Hispanic person that's in the musical. So props for that. Yeah.
I think she's Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you have another closer?
I do actually, because it turns out that me from the past wrote one down. So we can go ahead and do that. Great. Which is pick an obscure political figure to get their own musical. Obscure.
I might challenge obscure because I
guess I just mean like, don't make it George Washington.
Don't make it Donald Trump.
We all know. Don't make it Donald Trump. Just like pick somebody who it would be a bit of a people who aren't nerds about that person would be learning about them. Like Alexander Hamilton. I think that's why I decided to write it that way. Yeah. It's a person we know, but people don't know really about them.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick Alexander Hamilton. I think.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Tell me about him.
Who's that?
You were really pleased with yourself with that joke.
No, wow. I was laughing at your reaction. That was so funny.
Who's that? I'm just dissociated.
We're just trying to remember all of history.
All of the politicians, the political figures.
I want to choose one that's not American, but I have
one that's not American. Do you want a little time to think?
Is it going to be British?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, which prime minister?
I want a company style, like ensemble musical about the children of Queen Victoria.
Oh,
she had a lot of kids.
Oh,
there were like 16 of them. She had a lot of kids. They
Famously,
all got married off to various parts of. Yes, she did. She sent them off to various parts of Europe to be rulers and spouses of rulers, etc. And I feel like there's probably a lot to be explored with all of those children and all of the lives that they led. And so I think it would be cool to see some vignettes of their various lives.
RJ, do you have one?
I do.
Is it Imelda Marcos?
No, it's not. I was actually thinking about Stacey Abrams.
Oh.
There's something so fascinating about Stacey Abrams and how the fact that she's a romance writer, the fact that she
loves Buffy.
She loves Buffy. She was a former state representative. She did not win the governorship twice, but she was like very, very important in getting Georgia to vote blue, like to get voter turnout in Georgia. So there's just like something, I think like a cool musical to kind of show just the different worlds that she's in and like to be able to like forge her own path that even to now, like, I feel like she lost those 2 elections, but she's still very much like someone very powerful in the Democratic Party that still has a bright future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think you're taking a huge risk by picking someone who's still alive.
I know.
We have no idea what's coming next
what's
for her.
What's going to come. So,
but I do love. You listen to an interview with Stacey Abrams, and you're like, this woman's just a nerd, and you're like, I just can't. I admire so much of all that she's accomplished. As like, that's not a figure that we've historically lifted up as like Black women who are just nerdy, and like, I love it.
I think it's also. I think there's a bunch of reasons why people don't vote for whatever, but I do think her nerdiness is something that is hard for people to. I think she has the missing relatability for some people.
Yeah.
Because of her nerdiness. It's that like you're so smart that I'm like, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Mm.
My other one would be John Ossoff but then it's like hot.
Pick someone
Sexy.
who's not currently
In Georgia.
Not in Georgia. Maybe it's about Georgia politicians.
Maybe it's John Raffensperger.
Just give me
the Secretary of State of Georgia.
Wow.
Okay.
Don't do this.
Do you know who I'm gonna pick?
No, but I'm
also picking someone alive.
Okay.
It doesn't matter who he's going to pick because of that chuckle. We know he shouldn't pick it just based on that reaction.
I am picking Chasten Buttigieg.
No. You're so stupid.
You're constantly haunted by the Buttigieg.
And it's called Buttigieg Gay.
No.
No, I am picking Chasten.
Okay.
It's happening.
Okay.
Because I do think his life is very interesting. He at one point was kicked out by his parents. He was living in his car because of his sexuality. To being on the cover of Time, wasn't it Time with Pete? I think it was when he was running, obviously.
Yeah.
And there was like a glimmer of a hope of potential that there was going to be a gay couple in the White House. I don't know why we ever thought that would be possible.
So you're thinking like a Dear Evan Hansen kind of. Like a contemporary, there's a lot of emotional parts to it, kind of musical.
And I also envision this, I want to be clear. I envision this as like, we see the real Chasten, who I think is femme, and I think has to button up a lot of that to be more palatable. Mm-hmm. But I just have a feeling that he is not as, I think he's more like me than he's like Pete. Let's say that. Okay, Henny.
Henny Kiki Kaka.
Henny Kiki Kaka.
Oh, Bert. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I think. I'm thinking Chasten. Okay. Also, I kind of technically know it.
Can you tell the story on the podcast?
Oh,
I mean, not for public consumption.
Pete Buttigieg, when he still lived in South Bend, he obviously lives in DC now. When he still lived in South Bend, he went to the same church as my mother. So my mother.
So listener of the show.
My mother, Nan, we all love.
Was on the show.
She went to their wedding at our church.
She did.
Yeah. She's spoken to them multiple times, blah, blah, blah. This was like back in like.
I feel like what you're saying is you just actually want to have dinner with Chasten Buttigieg and not that you want to write a musical about it.
Maybe not a full musical, but.
Like a one act musical.
Okay.
A little like fringe performance.
Yeah. It just sounds like you're just like, I'm really curious that Chasten Buttigieg is like not in a public setting. Yeah, and like that's something that you can do without writing a musical.
I don't know who else I want to pick though. I think it's really boring.
I'm so sorry. Oh, I made you think about history. Oh gosh. How could I?
You know about Throat Goat the musical?
Well, I didn't want to get yelled at by Molly, but since we're bringing it up, yes, we're going to make a Nancy Reagan musical in which she has a song about how many dicks she's sucked in her life. God. Okay?
Rita, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for Adam's behavior.
She tap dances on the grave of her dear friend from Hollywood. Fucking what's his name who died of AIDS?
Rock Hudson.
Rock Hudson, when he was dying of AIDS, reached out to Nancy Reagan directly to see if he could get like because I don't think what is it called? AZT was like out yet, but it was like being considered or whatever. And he reached out to Nancy Reagan because they had worked together when they were both movie stars in Hollywood, and she ignored his call and he died.
I don't want to end the podcast on this.
I don't want to end it on.
Hate to tell you, she was a monster of a person. So. Well, thanks for coming to the bus. Hello, Argentina.
You know, sing that. Let's just all sing our favorite song from Evita. And my father was middle class.
Yeah, Argentina.
Big Apple.
Big Apple. I want to be part of Big Apple.
I'm going to play right here on our way out. I'm going to play the part where I had to stop and be like, what are you saying? It's so dissonant. I was so mad about it. Okay, bye.
Tell me before you get onto your high horse just what you expect me to do. I don't care what the bourgeoisie say. I'm not in business for them, but to give all my descamisados a magical moment or two.
Thank you for listening to the best revival of a podcast, Showgays. You can find us on social media. Adam is at Adam Noecker on Twitter. RJ is at RJ Food Rocks on Instagram. And Molly is at Molly Matiny on Instagram. This episode was edited and mixed by Adam Noecker. This has been an Ampliverse production. You can find our show page and more information at theampliverse.com. If you'd like to send us your own takes on the movie we just watched, reach out to us via email and we might read it aloud on the show. Our email is showgaysmoviemusical@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcasts. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe to help others find the show. And now, as always, the show must go on, so stick around to hear what we're going to be watching next episode.
This is it. Dresses by Ella.
Here's a laugh. This girl fancies herself a businessman.
Cinderella, it's only my love for your father, rest his soul, that stands between you and a life on the street. I have to make a life for myself. I'll sell one of my signature dresses. Soon everyone will know my name.
To make sure your nuptials are done properly, we shall hold a ball. You shall find a bride.
Somebody to love.
Cinderella, you don't need to go to the ball.
Please, stepmother, I spent weeks making this dress. My future depends on it.
Yes! I am your fabulous godmother. Do you want to go to that ball and meet a bunch of rich people who will change your life?
Yes, I was just crying and singing about it like 2 minutes ago.
Then go, you shall!
Oh, look at that. This is different.
Okay, Dad. You said you wanted to be a businesswoman. It's magic time.
Holy.
Where's my tail? I can't balance without my tail!
Here I go again. I'm imagining a world outside and when I'm in.
Oh my God, it didn't happen, and even if it did happen...
Hi. Would you like to dance?
Right now.
Where did you get that dress? I designed it.
I pick you to be my princess.
What about my work?
I don't want a life stuck waving from a royal box any more than a life confined to a basement.
If it's a million to wait, I'm gonna be that one. And if it's
I have dreams that I have to chase.
I'm gonna be the sun, and I just can't afford.
Marry him and all of our problems will be solved. It's too late. Life outside this basement starts right now.
The world's half asleep. It's gonna wake up and sing.
They're glass. Any way you can make them more comfortable?
No.
But you just did a whole thing.
Even magic has its limits.
Discovering voices. Building worlds. The Ampliverse.